Monday, 7:30, which means we're live here on the channel. And I'm not alone in the garage tonight, obviously, so I've got Richard with me, and he's going to come over. But the gimbal can't follow us both,
This is going to be fun.
and it does end up fighting each other. So we'll have to come and stand in each other's eye line. There you go, shot sides there. So we're going to. I've got Richard here tonight, so we're here. He's not going to follow us both. We have to have a little cuddle, I think, to even get in.
We'll do the whole thing
like this. Yeah, that's how we do it. So I've got Richard in the garage tonight, so we can talk all things Audi TT. I am going to see if I can. Do you know what I might do? I might just put that on pause. If I can just put that on pause, and then we can turn the gimbal round like this, and then it's not going to keep moving away from there. We go. So we'll do that. So we are here tonight. We're here with Richard's amazing Quattro Sport. Got a lot of things to cover tonight. Good evening, Robbie. How you doing, buddy? I'll see you in about 12 days' time in Dordrecht. I'm going to take a good look at your car. Good evening, Claire. Hope you're good. I hope you enjoy your merchandise. Claire had some merchandise off the channel. She had a lovely new milkshake hoodie and a t-shirt last week. Richard's t-shirt was ordered at the same time as yours, Claire, and yours turned up on Saturday, and Richard's has not arrived.
So I'm not corporate.
No, so he hasn't got the t-shirt tonight, but we will sort that, and as soon as I get it, he'll have it. But yeah, so welcome along everyone tonight. I can see there's a few of you joining on now. A few questions jumping into the chat already, so I'm going to just flick back through there and see what it said. Yeah, Robbie's come back. Yes, sir. Christoph, evening, Andy. Currently doing the rocker cover gasket on my TT. Sent you a video. Well, that's really cool because we've got all those bits here tonight, which we're going to go through. We've got a lot of things to cover, including the strip down of the bottom end of the breaker engine, the 140,000 mile engine. But before we go on too much, I thought we'd get Richard and we'll just ask him. He was at the International TT show last week. So, Richard, how do you think it went there?
Oh, it was amazing. So I went to the first one, but not the second, and then came back to the third. And I think this one was day and night. And I think there are a few things that made it really, really good. Number one was having all of the cars around the roundabout. It made it far more centric. So previously, obviously, people have been parked all the way along the road, right out to the back of the estate. So it being so linear made it quite hard to be social. Well, I think this year, because everybody was sort of more in the same place, but also having more food trucks and more stuff there, I think it made it far better atmosphere.
For sure. I think the indoor facility made a big difference this year, having the car, the show and shine,
absolutely,
and the modified cars, but also one thing that we are going to work on for next year is we're going to make sure we've got access to the restaurant and bar area for seating, because that was a bit of a shortcoming this year. We didn't have enough seating for people. People were resorting to sitting on that roundabout. But yeah, I totally agree. I think the layout was much better. We had as many cars, maybe not quite as many as last year, but as many as the first year. But we were just spread around a more centralised area with this sort of like 15, 20 cars we had indoors as well. So what we've got on here, Ray's on. Hi, Ray. Hey, Andy. Just listening to the live whilst driving. So Ray is he's currently got his car for sale. He's the owner of the Azure blue car we were talking about. So we were talking about that before the show started tonight. So we're going to cover Ray's car, our thoughts behind it, and any sort of advice we can give you on that as well, and our thoughts. I think our thinking was actually tipping more towards the top end of asking prices as well, which would be quite interesting. We'll go through.
I've never heard of another Azure.
No, there you go. That says a lot, doesn't it? So Richard's been around the TT world for many years, and he's never heard of another Azure blue one. So there you go. It shows how rare it really is.
Yeah, Morrow, as we discussed earlier before the thing, Morrow is obviously a much more common colour, but it's a far more solid colour than Azure is.
For sure.
Interesting colour.
Yeah. And Claire's put, I love my hoodie. It's so soft on the inside. Great hoodie. Thanks, Claire. Definitely people should be jumping on the link and buying their hoodies for sure. But if you've got any questions for us tonight, please put it in the chat. But again, we'll talk a bit more about Ypres. If you've not seen the video yet, the video from the show is live on the channel right now. I put it live last night, and yeah, it's already getting some good traction, getting a lot of good feedback. There were some amazing cars on display. So what was your favourite? What was your favourite standard car that you saw? Other than mine.
Well, obviously, anything that's papaya is better than all the others put together.
No, maybe not.
Anyway, absolutely standard. Well, I think you can't go further than Matt's and Jeff's and mine.
Do you know what was really nice about seeing the car where your cars were in there was that if you stood at one end, as you looked down, although you had the Mark III of Stuart on the end, you had a green and then a yellow and then a blue with David
Yeah,
Pring's car. Then you also had a red car of Richards, and then a cherry red, and then an aviator grey. Oh no, Dolomite grey, wasn't it? Yeah, and then you had that red car, which was actually tornado red.
yeah.
So it was. I never heard of a tornado red. So there you
Certainly
go.
wasn't a UK colour.
No,
I
definitely
think
not.
he's, yeah, as I said, lovely seeing David Pring's car finally. Because I
Yes.
speak to Dave Pring, obviously being another QS person quite a lot, and finally seeing his trophy blue, it's such a colour.
Yeah, it is.
Shame it's not real.
No, it's repainted. It was originally was it light metallic? No, it was Avis. It was Avis originally.
Well, fair enough, in Europe there is a trophy blue left-hand drive. And
I thought it was called Sprint Blue. Is it trophy?
Sorry, Sprint Blue. Sorry, I'm going losing my way.
Colours.
But you can just imagine how much money that would be worth.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because there's one for sale at the moment, it's about €43,000.
Wow.
And one sold previously for 47.
Wow. In that colour?
No, just because it's a Quattro Sport with a left-hand drive. That's so rare.
That's just mad,
so
isn't it?
Rare.
What have we got on tonight? We've got a few. We've got Phil, Pete, evening, gents. Hi, Phil. How you doing? Jeff's on as well. Hi, Andy,
Jeff.
Richard. Evening, Jeff. Hope you're well. I did tag you in a post maybe for something to do in September, Jeff. If you saw that earlier on Facebook, then if you did or not, maybe go and look at a Mk1 show in Holland. Maybe it could be a chance to go back to the area.
Well, straight back to it because they had one this weekend, didn't they?
They did indeed. Yeah, they did. Oh, Mark Stanley, one of the champion breakers, is on. Good evening, Mark. Hope you're well tonight. Supplier of many great parts all the way down in Wales. Hope you're good. Claire, I've just bought a high pressure power steering hose from Car Parts Warehouse for 57 quid. Why are such price differences are there in these parts, and do you think it will be okay? I mean, from a power steering perspective, I mean, I don't know if that means it's going to be any good. I'd always say if there's a good quality second-hand part, like Mark is in the chat, obviously, I would always look at buying them second-hand because they're genuine Audi parts. But I don't know. I'm not sure, Claire. I know that some things you can't get hold of anymore. Definitely not brand new. But it's definitely worth checking with the breakers who may have some good quality parts.
The high pressure is the important bit there.
Exactly that.
So the one that you've bought? What will it actually take?
Yeah, exactly that.
And is it high enough for the power steering? Yeah, TT, which is very high.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully you're all good, Claire. So
no.
Yeah, so let us know if the steering suddenly gets stiff and you're dropping something behind the car, then we know it's not. Stuart Heather, good evening. See you're jumping on as well. So good to have you along tonight as well. And so we talked about the good standard cars there. So we talked about Richard's favourite were Jeff's and Matt's car from the show. So Jeff, you got a thumbs up there for your car. But what about from the modified cars? There were quite a few there.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing there was, I guess, because the people in Europe have a very different stance, excuse the pun, on modification. There's some very interesting, even outside, not necessarily in the hole.
Yeah,
there are some very interesting takes, and a lot of people took quite a lot of good ideas away from it. We like the silver one with the doors, but to me it was a bit too much. No disrespect to the guy at all, but I think the black stance one was, given what the mileage was that was on it and the finish. I mean, you had to actually stand next to the black paintwork.
Yeah.
So I think it was brilliant black.
It was just. Now I think that car's been there before and it's had blacked out number plates as well. I might be wrong, but I think so. That is on Instagram. If you want to check it out, guys, it's Audi _TT _stance. That car. It has some great bits on it, and it always under the engine bay looks so shiny as well. I think a black car with a shiny engine makes a big difference. So the other great car that we were just talking about there that had all the tricky bits on it had the Lambo doors, the roof box, and the thing I loved about that roof box, I don't know if you saw, but at the back of it there was a car aerial actually mounted on the back of the car, like a little shark fin, and it fitted just perfectly along under the roof box. Claire, thank you very much for your super thanks. That's great. Thank you very much for sending that through. Much appreciated. It's £5 winning its way.
TT where the roof rack is worth less than the car is.
Yes, so, it's the roof bars. I think he had genuine roof bars as well, didn't he? Which is very unusual. Had an amazing roof box that fitted as well. Had like a load of old clothes in it. It looked like. I don't know what he had in there. Maybe it was his sandwiches. But although someone pointed out that my car looked like that because I had all my Andycharger hoodies and t-shirts on the dash. I
Bring them
think
by Sam.
Robin Scrivener said it looked like and I think Simon Matthews said it looks like I've got my dirty linen on the dash, but it wasn't. It was definitely merchandise. But thank you. Good evening, Paul Hutchinson. How are you doing tonight, buddy? Welcome along. Good evening, Steve Cowell. Welcome along. There's a few people jumping on. I hope you're all good. If you've got any questions for us tonight, please bang in the chat. And of course, if you're enjoying watching what Richard and I are talking about tonight, then definitely give this a thumbs up. Of course, if you haven't yet checked out this week's video, all about the Audi TT Mk1 International show, then please go and check that out on the channel. And there's also a video from Friday that was about the Tyne-Cott Cemetery Drive. So there was a 2-hour drive, which Maxim, who's based just outside Ypres, had taken everyone on a drive. There's a lot of UK cars there. I think there were 25 cars. Did film it all from a few different angles, and I filmed all the cars leaving at the start. And if you watch that as the cars leave, as they drive out, I stopped the video and I put their names up. I got Felix's name wrong. I called him Marcus to refer to that. But if you also watch it back, about 4 cars from the end, there is a Mark III in grey, and I could smell his tyres as he drove past, because there was a lot of cyclists came out, and as he drove past, he was literally like this, going past me, and in the camera you can see. And I thought, I may die, but it may be worth it for the shot. And it looked great. It did come out well, but I was a little bit close to the tyres. But what's Mark said? I missed what you said about the Sprint Blue TT. Just bought an immaculate presented 70,000 mile Sprint 225. That's a lovely car. We were talking about the Quattro Sport. There's one Quattro Sport in the UK in Sprint Blue, although he said it's not a genuine Sprint Blue car. It's originally an Ava Silver car. But it's owned by David Pring, who maintains he's the keeper of the list.
Register.
Yeah, so it's got a register of all the Quattro Sports around the world, I think, what colour they are, where they currently are, all sorts of information. So a really interesting person to speak to. Is it possible, worth it to repair the old power steering hose? No, I think when that's gone, I think that is your lot. You would have to find one. Mark, as you're in the chat tonight, and I would always turn to you for advice on breaking parts. Do you have such a thing as a power steering pipe, high pressure power steering pipe in stock? Is that something that you would stock for people? If so, maybe we can put you in touch with Claire in case she has a problem. Jess put, cheers, Richard. Check it in the post for her again. There you go. So Jeff's going to give you a bung for saying his car was one of the best. But so I think we also had, when we were there, those 2 great cars. But one thing that blew me, or 2 cars that blew me away other than that. Firstly was the hand-painted one, which looked like a wrap, but up close you could tell it was paint.
But you had to put your hand on
it, and
it was like glass. Yeah. I mean, staggering. If
you've not seen that car, go and check it out. There'll be a full video coming again on the channel about that. I spoke to the guy that owned it, a guy called Cook, who did that car. Although he didn't paint it, but he did the design, and he had a graphic artist or a graffiti artist do it.
It's a lovely base, because he hadn't done it. If you actually look, the rest of the car was very standard. So things like the wheels and stuff. But what a base to start with! I mean, absolutely. Off the scale. It was an absolute. And no pictures did it justice.
No. And funny enough, there's been a show this weekend.
Over there again.
Well, no, it's a different car.
No, really?
Absolutely, yeah. It's a different car. It looks the same colour combination. It's a different car. So, so Minir Tabacton here. So Robbie, he sent me a picture of it, saying, "This is look at this the show," because he was at the show yesterday. So thanks for sending it through, Robbie. A link to it. And show me that car, and it is a different car. Same colour combination.
But that car, it's funny enough, I was standing with Jeff, so plug Jeff again, another fiver. And we were saying, to have the imagination to take a car and make it look like that is just,
for sure,
incredible.
But I would say that, and I think Robbie's just stood there and said, "Oh yeah, they look alike." So I would say that colour combination, one of them has designed that car and chosen it, and someone else has seen it and gone, I think I can do that.
Yes,
and I think the one I saw yesterday was not quite as funny. On point.
But it wasn't the pictures I saw. It was only ever in the background in the pictures, so you couldn't really tell.
Yeah, it almost looks like it's someone that's seen it.
And they go themselves.
Yeah, but they've gone a little bit. I'll put an extra line. So there's a lot of lines.
I'm doing that to this. Get the marker pens.
Oh yeah, I've got one in my pocket. I think. I'm pretty sure I've got one. Do you want to do it now?
Yeah.
So we could just give it a little one of those, and then could sign the camera. But yeah, so always have a marker pen in your pocket in case you want to mark up your car. What have we got here? Let's just go back. So a few things have come through. We've been busy chatting as we do. Just a lot of work on the side in time. Yeah, David's a good guy. Surprised he painted his mind. Yeah,
Yeah, the bottoms of these things. So I've got a completely new front, so new front subframe, but my back looks almost like it's been under the sea as well. So
really.
that's my. So I bought so bizarrely from Temu, you can buy these really big long ramps with hydraulic lifters at the ends of them. So you run the car onto the ramp, which already puts it up by about 40 centimeters, and then you jack up on the jacks. So it actually takes it up to about 60 odd centimeters, and they're about 100 quid. And they're solid as hell.
Have you bought one?
Yeah, I've got my own.
Oh,
yeah.
Right. Well, so you go first.
My summer, they're about this wide,
okay.
and they're huge, and they're properly built. Okay. So this summer, that's my job as well. So we're going to back the car up nice and high, get a wheelie lie-on thing, and have a crack at the rear sub.
I'll let you go first, and if it's any good,
I may put a couple of things under there as well.
Okay. Yes, but yes, I think that might be wise. So yeah, so Marcus said, yeah, you'll have a high pressure pipe. So Claire, there you go. Definitely, if you want to get in touch with Mark, do you want to put your details in the chat just so Claire's got them? If not, you can. You're more than welcome. Sorry, if you're if not, you can drop me a message, Claire, and I can get you Mark's details because I've got his card. Found a big problem with 19-inch wheels on the Mark 1. They pinch puncture too easy. Got a blowout yesterday, and no pump and liquid would save it. It was an AA job. Yeah, so Paul Hutchinson. 19s on a Mark 1, not only are they a bit tricky like that and they end up puncturing, they're one of the most uncomfortable rides I've been in. The only car that I've had is more uncomfortable than that with a big set of wheels. Probably going in your old car when you were going over those humps.
Yeah, the trouble is you're running either a 30 or a 35 wall.
Yeah, so
they have absolutely no shock absorbance in them at all.
No.
So if you hit anything decent, they have to take all the impact. They look lovely. I love 19s. So I had the BBS with the deep alloys on 19s, and they looked absolutely stunning. Yeah. But undrivable with them on it. Yeah. And it railroaded really bad. So it really railed. So the wheels are so big and the tyres were so thin that it almost felt like you were in a track. Yeah. So it's all show, no go, I find, with 19s. I
think the first time I met you was at that golf course.
Yeah.
And you were driving down
on the gravel track.
Yeah, very, very slowly. So it was interesting. So that is a problem, Paul.
But aesthetically, amazing.
Yeah, I would say you can't really go wrong with the original 18-inch wheels. I think they are the perfect size for the car, just what you need. I've got a 1.8 Roadster two-wheel drive. Oh, there you go, Claire's up. Yeah, good evening, gents. Hello, Andy. How you doing, buddy? It was more detailed but less clean, so to say. That's on that blue car that you saw. Can you give us a link, please? I'm looking. Yeah, it says, okay, you guys are sorting that. That's good. They do look well, but totally agree. Needs originals. They do need to be originals.
But also, you've got to get exactly the right spec of wheel, or they run like hell, or they don't fit on the brakes.
Absolutely. Simon Siggets, how you doing, buddy? All the way from Milton Keynes tonight. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you at Ypres just 2 weeks ago. It was really good to catch. Not in 2 weeks, a week and a half ago now. It's I get sort of carried away how long it's been. But I suppose, look at it, we're nearly 2 weeks into it. So it means we're only 50 weeks away from going next year. Because a lot of people are saying to me, is there a date yet? What is the date? And I did notice in my video yesterday, there were a couple of people chatting in the comments and some said they'd booked for next year. Hopefully it's going to be the same weekend, but it is a risk because we don't know for definite yet. We're waiting to hear from the people in Ypres to confirm that weekend is the same, because it is that carnival festival weekend. We need to make sure.
I guess it's positive if you're going to stay at the hotel. You don't pay to get there. So
no, absolutely that.
As I found out this year.
Okay. Yeah, because obviously you were meant to be there, but you didn't. You didn't stay. He came, he saw, he left, and I did obviously mention that in the video yesterday that Richard drove all the way over for the show and shine. Showed and shined, and then he left. So hopefully next year you'll be there for the whole thing. Yeah. What braided lines you installing on your Brembo 4 pots? Is that aimed at me? It must be, because I've got my I've got Brembos obviously on my 3.2. Well, Mark is in the chat. Mark sold me those Brembos. So Mark, maybe you know what make or model those braided lines are.
Good bridge are very common with these.
Are they?
Very common. People often have good rehoses.
Oh, there you go. So Richard's the man to
Not
ask.
the
He
other
knows.
ones you've got.
No, but there you go. If they work, and then the ones that's obviously a favourite of
If you
them.
see them up for sale new, it'll usually be with Goodrich hoses.
Okay.
So.
There you go. Well, mine weren't new, but they had been refurbished and they were okay. They're on the car and they're doing a job. I had to buy a new set of discs for it because the discs. Sorry, I had to buy a new set of pads for it because the pads that came with it were race pads, and obviously on the road they'd be no good. So I've actually put Brembo pads in my Brembo calipers, not Brembo discs though, but they are Brembo pads. Shout out to Bryn. I followed his cam belt video over the weekend and completed it myself in 7 hours. He's sort of absolutely, Steve, can't agree more.
Effort, mate.
Yeah, Bryn came down here and obviously did I did my cam belt, and he stood at the side, ate his sandwich out of a box, filmed himself eating his sandwiches as well, which unfortunately that footage went to pop because the strip lights in my garage interfered with his cameras when he looked at it back, so we were unable to use that. But what a great guy Bryn is. What he doesn't know about the TT is not worth knowing, but absolutely, yeah. So well done on doing your cam belt on Bryn's video. I'm hoping that will be one that will make a lot of people very happy. Sky Pigeon, you selling your car?
Me or him?
I don't know.
Neither
of us are selling their car, but we are going to talk about a car that's for sale by one of the people in the chat tonight. So we're going to talk about that. Thank you. Someone's put that's obviously on the braided hoses. No problem, buddy. Mark Stanley, if I recall correctly, they were hell, but yes, Goodrich are also very good. Hell hoses, they would have been okay. Paul, I've got refurbished set of 18s Audi wheels for sale. Stuart's got some wheels there.
Real ones?
I
got
don't
lots
know.
of holes in them.
Daniel Nash, hello, it's me, Dan from Budget's Windscreen. I fitted your screen on your blue TT. I remember it well, Dan. We did that outside. So the blue one is no longer here. I sold that car. So that's must be 3 years, maybe 2 years ago, was it? But yeah, thank you very much. So Dan from Budget Windscreen, I highly recommend his work. He taught me through how to remove the windscreen and any sort of information, I guess, on how you could remove it yourself. Bit of a tricky job if you were trying to do it and remove it and keep the screen. Maybe you're trying to take one out of a breaker. Looking at how Dan did it, and he showed me the tool by doing it by hand. It was a bit of a mission, but he did a fantastic job fitting it in that car. So yeah, thanks a lot for that, Dan. Nice to have you on my live tonight. So yeah, I'm well, and I hope you are too. Definitely drop me an email, Dan, at some point, and we can have a catch up. It'd be good to catch up. Matt Hill is on. Good to see you both. Up the Welsh, Matt, with the cherry. So Matt was obviously, if you just joined on, Matt, we've been speaking a lot about you and your lovely car already this evening, so you might have to go back and watch this on the rerun to see what we were saying, but it was all good stuff. And we were talking.
And Jeff gave me a $5 for being nice about his.
Yeah, so if you want, yes, you need to send Richard money. So
yeah.
Sold. Someone's put there. I would like to plug Ypres Main Street Hotel on behalf of the lovely owner, Elodie. Expensive, but great. That's good, Simon. Good to know there's other hotels available in Ypres other than the one that we normally stay at, which is the Ariane. Yes, blue. Oh, Sky Pigeon. Yes, blue. Are you asking, am I selling a blue car? Or are you asking me about the blue car that's for sale on my my post on the channel at the moment? If you're asking about that, we're going to talk about that in a minute. Award-winning Matt. Yes, absolutely award-winning Matt. Did a great job of getting that paintwork looking spot on for the show. It always looks great, that car, I have to say.
Best roof rack as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So there were a few Mark 1 roof racks there. Did you notice?
Well, it boosted the value of the show by about 70%.
Yes, I think so, because those those parts at the show, roof racks are a lot of money. Buying those second-hand. Mark might be able to tell us what the going rate is for a roof rack at the moment. I'm thinking about picking up a rack for the
boot.
The boot rack, but I'm still not 100% convinced on it if I'm going to do that or if I'm just going to pack very lightly.
Compression.
The wife might not want to do that.
No, that's your problem. It's the hair equipment.
Yes, I know it might be a bit tight. It's either that. We're either going to have to leave spares behind or hairs behind, and I think we're going to be leaving spares behind. But we'll see what happens. But
it is a hairdresser's car. So.
It is, well, apparently so. Allegedly. Apparently so. Guys, if you've got questions for us, please put it in the chat. Having an expert like Richard is always beneficial because it's he's looking all around now, looking back.
We've got my gloves.
He's he's looking for. No. Oh, he just chucked my mic away now. So there you go. It's in two parts. It's magnetic. So there you go. Just sit it on the back. And it'll go back. So Richard is going to be donning his gloves now because we're going to move on to the.
That sounds a bit wrong.
Yeah. He's going to be the doctor in this part of the show. I'm not going to be the nurse. I'm going to be the cameraman. And what we are going to do tonight is we are going to disassemble that engine. So that engine that's been in the garage for a long time now, going back a few months. I mean, this engine took me probably the best part of 6 months to take out of the car. And when I got out, I did say to Richard about the engine. He was saying, I can't wait to have a look in the engine, see the damage inside it. And I said, yeah, and when I do it, I'll have you here for that. But of course, time got away with me and I was making a video, and unfortunately, I took the head off of that, Richard being here, so I spoiled the surprise. But we have got somewhere, which I've talked about before. I don't know what I've done with those valves now.
They're probably further down.
They are somewhere. Anyway, we'll find those valves, but I've shown those valves on camera before and how bent they are. I thought I'd put them over here like a little.
You showed them to me, so you must be.
They could be anywhere. Anyway, we won't worry about that. There's your rifle drill just knocked on the floor.
Stuck in the bag.
Hopefully it will still work. But yeah, the camera's obviously.
Sorry, you go that side.
Yes. So anyway, we'll talk about the valves when I find them. But today we are going to go deeper into the engine, and we've spun the engine around, and we're going in through the sump to have a look at the damage to things such as the rods, the rings, the piston rings. We're going to have a look at how much rubbish is built up in the bottom of this engine. So what I'm going to do is I am going to pick up the camera. I'm going to spin the camera around. So we're going to go on this side like this, and we're going to talk you through. So here is the engine that we are doing. What have you lost, Richard? What do you
I was saying, where you had me put your valves, because you showed them to me over there. Oh, let's stay up. They're on the thing.
There are a couple of valves over there. Might not be, but we are going to be taking the bottom of this sump off. Now, we have done some prep work on this just to make sure that we can take it apart nice and quickly. But just give you an idea. First off, you've got the oil return pipe, which I'm going to take off here. Just lightly tap this on. Now, we took this off earlier because we need to get this sump off. Me saying I'll get it off nice and quick. Yeah, nearly there. There we go. So there's the sump, the pickup pipe off, and just to give you an idea. So the gasket is obviously quite worn, and it looks pretty nasty in there as well. It was pretty nasty overall, but that will allow us to get the sump off much easier. So we've had to remove all of these little bolts from around the sump. So they are 10mm bolts. I want to say there's 12 of them, but there might be more than that.
No,
but we've got them all off. So there is the sump. Now, thanks to the modern technology, we can just now do this and look, it comes off. But this is the important bit. When Richard takes this off, what we noticed when we took it off earlier is someone's forgotten to install any sort of sealant by the look of it. So look, here is your gasket. That is your entire gasket that was holding the oil or holding the seal tight on this all the way around. Look at how minimal that gasket is. Someone's been very precise at putting that gasket on. So yeah,
you see the build up around where it was,
yes,
and then the leakage here where it wasn't.
Yeah, you can see there the leakage at the side.
It's been leaking like a sieve.
Yeah, so this engine would have been losing oil, but inside the actual sump we can see, if I look in there, I don't know if you can see all the little bits that are built up in there. So it just goes to show you all those bits are floating around in your engine. All the gimbals getting upset.
And they're plastic as well. It's not so probably part of the front system maybe, because obviously you've got the plastic. So you can't even see it here, but obviously the front part of the PCV system is plastic that goes into the engine, and it is renowned for cracking. So
yeah, I mean, look at that in there. If I use my finger, I mean, that is crud. I mean, I can't tell you how cruddy that is.
But it's the bits. Nice. So there's shiny bits there in that corner. Plenty of shiny bits in the middle as well, which is not a good sign at all.
No. So shiny bits are going to be metal, essentially. So if they're floating around in your sump, that is not a good thing. But yeah, but look at the actual sealant that's coming off.
Perhaps they didn't have much money.
Well, they obviously saved on sealant. They've obviously spent it some. Well, what they've had to do, they've been saving up for a new engine is what they've been doing. But we'll put that to one side, and then we'll have another look now down here. So you can see again so the bottom of the block, you can see right here where the oil has been leaking out through the side of the block, how bad that is. I'm not going to say what it's called because I'm going to call it a widget cover.
Windage tray.
A windage tray. So this black part here as you can see, this black cover is what's called a windage tray, and that filters the oil back into the right place in the sump so it can be sucked up and used again. So that is actually held in place by one bolt. Now, this bolt is a 10mm bolt, but you can see there the build-up of cruddy oil on here. So I think that Richard was saying that Bryn's done a video on a well-maintained engine. This is a video on a not well-maintained engine.
Was it 140,000?
I had 140,000 miles, but it looks like it hasn't had a bit of service for a long time. So there's the windage tray out of the way.
Which is actually really clean.
Yeah, it's just a plastic tray. But again, you can see down here, all of this, these components would be submerged in the engine, in the oil. Oh, it's just spun round on me. That's not good. But you can see here how bad it is and how awful the... I'm just going to give that a little spin. It's just spun round on me. So, yeah, so in here, we've got the oil pickup pipe. Now, I have backed this off, but I've done it up obviously too tight. But we're going to take that off because inside here, this is what sucks up your oil right here. And you can probably see in there in that sieve, you can see all those little bits inside that sieve. So those are the bits that block your oil pickup pipe and starve your engine of oil. It's a 10mm, that is. It's already set up on my ratchet drill, so we can do that, but it needs the battery taken out of the charger. So we'll have a look at that. But you can see in here how bad it is. The burnt on oil in here, it's in a pretty bad way. But we are going to we're going to remove this pipe, and then we're going to start taking the big parts of the engine off to give you a bit of an update. So Richard's just going to whip the pickup pipe off, just like that.
So light.
There we go. So we'll take it off. So there it is out of the way. So once we've now got the...
you can see the level of crud. And if you look down, there's shiny stuff in there as well.
Yeah.
Which is never a good sign.
No, so that's obviously bits of the engine that have ended up in the pickup pipe and getting blocked in the sieve. But the important bit we're going to now look at is Richard's going to just talk us around the components in here and what they're called. Right.
So obviously to start at the front, you've got your oil pump. So this runs off a separate chain system. So this isn't timed. This is a separate one that, if you look, it actually runs off the crank, but is a non-timed belt. So this is your oil pump. Again, because of where it is, when you think about the pickup here, the pump is scavenging straight from the pickup. So if your pickup is blocked, or isn't doing its job efficiently, it's either throwing in something crap or it's not throwing the oil through the pump at the very first point of movement, which is probably quite scary in that respect, which is why the whole thing about the actual pickup is so critical. It also runs on quite a lot of rings. So there's big rubber O-rings inside, which are the sealing mechanism, but obviously not as vital. When we then look at the rest of it, we've obviously got our main crank itself, which is housing our big ends and our rods for our pistons. So what we have done is we've pre-loosened a few of these, because what we can do is we can look at the big end bearings on the crank rods, on the con rods, and we can look at the bearings on the crank. Remember, 140,000, not particularly well maintained miles. Now, these are very high torque stretch on the grounds that obviously you really don't want these things falling off inside your engine, given what it is.
So what are we expecting to see in here? Because we haven't gone this far yet, have we? So what are we expecting to see damage-wise?
Well, it's really how much wear. So if I get have you got a hammer?
I have.
Something similar. Sorry to be a pain.
That's all right. I'm going to, if I just...
Something I can hit.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to take that out of its, take that out of the gimbal like that. And we're going to hold that on the camera for now. On there.
I don't need to push that. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I don't need to.
Right, you've done it?
There we go. Just need it. There we go. So,
right, okay. So what have we got there?
So this is obviously a big end.
Yeah.
So this is the base of the Comrod. And you can see here the coating should be immaculate.
And it's scratched the buggery, basically.
But what you're also going to see here is a problem. It's not amazing, the first one I take. So here is the oil chamber.
Yeah.
So here is where the oil is pushed out.
Should that be round?
Well, it's not that. It should be covered by this.
Oh, like a shim, is it?
No, this is the bearing.
Oh, right.
So it may be because we've taken the cap off But
bearing slipped around.
Spun.
Okay.
Let me find something.
So I'm just going to go through the comments while we're looking at this.
Go for
So
it. I'll
okay,
dig it
so what
out.
have we got while we're doing this? Paul's thinking of going down to 17. Stuart's thinking about going out 17-inch rims for a softer ride. Breather pipe elbow can disintegrate and end up in the sump. Yes, absolutely does. What price and where are you? I'm looking for the 7-spoke originals for the 3.2. Stuart, okay. Hello, buddy. How you doing? Halloween's on as well. He's a Fiesta owner. Jumps on my lives on TikTok as well. How you doing, buddy? I hope you're all well. And right, Stuart, still talking about those spokes. So, guys, you're all sorting out wheels, which is great. Christoph, hey, Andy, just did the rocker cover, and now my car won't hold idle and shaky. When little fraud PCV, there you go.
Check it.
Paul Hutchinson, I'm up at the tip of North Yorkshire and I'm coming down for Springfest. Although not sure I could fit them in, but maybe could sort something. Yeah, Springfest is going to be amazing. We're going to talk about that a little bit in a bit as well. So they will fit in a TT, one boot, one passenger, one rear seat. Okay, so I know that Jeff has put a set of wheels I've seen in a TT. I've seen it done, but on a picture. But I wouldn't recommend it if you want to come down in comfort. So we are just having a look. Richard's cleaning up. See, there's me just chatting away, and I missed the whole piston rod coming out there.
That's exciting.
I know. So
I feel like that guy on YouTube that takes engines apart.
Who's that? Not
the
me.
American guy.
Oh, I was going to say not me.
Right.
Too scary. So what you got, Richard? Show me what you got on there.
So this is piston 2.
Okay.
And what you have, obviously, is a bearing that runs around, obviously, the crank.
Yeah.
And it comes in 2 parts.
Okay.
Whether it had spun or whether it's because I pushed it that it went behind it, I'm not going to say. I'm guessing it's the latter because you'd see damage. But in principle, this is the weakest point of the, I guess, bearing model, because this is the one that's turning the most. So if you look, the bottom one is always going to be worse than the top. But if you look, you can actually see it's picked up damage.
Yeah.
You see the stripes on that.
So
one?
what's interesting, and I noticed on one of them, it's almost like diagonal stripes. So it's not just wearing around; it's wearing across.
So in principle, these should be absolutely spotless.
Yeah.
When they're new, but you can see, especially on the top one, the left one, some striping.
Yeah, I can see that.
What that is it's picked up detritus from the engine.
Small piece of metal which actually
fed in through that oil galley.
Through there, it's coming to there. It's fed into the middle of the bearing. It's got a little bit of something caught in it, and then it's got stuck under the bearing, and then it's sort of ground away at the bearing.
So it's damaged the quality of the bearing.
Yeah.
But you can also see on the bottom one a lot more wear. So look at the colour difference between the two.
Yeah, the top one is like silvery, and the bottom one's like quite almost like shot. Well, this is the top one, yeah.
That's the bottom, the outside one.
So that is like quite shiny, isn't it? Where it's got a lot, where it's almost
also
smooth.
A lot darker.
Yeah.
In relation to its coloration. Yeah. Now, looking at them, I mean, you can see the wear on the back.
Yeah.
So they have been moving, but not. So it was me doing it. But the thing of that is these would never. You couldn't replace these now.
Yeah.
As they are, you wouldn't put them back in. I mean, they're not bad.
Okay. So those bits there that we're talking about there, now they would have to be new, wouldn't they, if you were going to replace those?
And they've got to be exactly the right width.
Okay.
So the tolerances are, hundreds of millimeters or tens of millimeters, depending on it, in relation that they have to fit the crank. And you can often find different size bearings on each of the cranks.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So German cars especially, you'll see a set of numbers or a set of letters on the side of the engine. So it'll say A, B, and A.
But we're talking these tolerances, though, they must be absolutely tiny. So they'd be like thousandths of a millimetre. So, but that might be like 3,000. That might be 4,000. So we're talking that sort of stuff.
And so you can usually tell the engine because it'll actually have numbers or letters that actually represent which size of bearing needs to go on each one. More than, probably less likely on this. Now, the good news, if I put the bearings down,
is there any good news?
Is the crank itself is actually pretty good.
Okay.
So if I give it a good clean, I mean, there's wear.
Yeah.
You can see the very light scratching, but it's not feelable. There's nothing you can feel.
So the damage has really taken place on the bearing,
Because the
rather than
bearings are softer metal.
Yeah, I get that.
Purposely.
Yeah.
Now, here's obviously a piston.
Let's have a look at this. Now, this is in. It looks well. I mean, the burning on the sidewall of that piston. Surely it shouldn't have that.
Well, there's 2 or 3 things. So if we go, the bottom's obviously fine.
Okay.
There is obviously quite a lot of wear inside. You can see the writing is pretty much gone. So there's definitely movement in the bearing, but not a huge amount because you can still see the hatching.
Yeah.
Obviously the conrod itself, good solid thing. But again, these are standard. If you get them upgraded, these are a lot wider.
So we talk about power in these engines, and if we take these engines up to 300 brake and above, that these are, you'd have to replace these with these often need to be forged, aren't they, essentially?
And what they usually be is a lot wider all the way down.
And this is cast right now, is that
absolutely.
So it's quite soft. So if you wanted to, if that extra power you're getting from that explosion, these need to be made of much more tough material, which is why these bits are normally forged. So when you talk about a forged engine, it's this that we're talking about.
But other things.
And the piston heads, are they forged normally as well? Or
yeah, you get forged pistons.
Yeah, okay.
So again, let's remove some detritus from the top.
So so this is obviously where we've taken it out from, so we can see straight through now. So that where you're looking is daylight or not, that's the garage floor, straight through this engine. Evening, guys that are jumping on. So Carl, hi, you jumping on. Christoph, yeah, we did respond to your message there about your rocker cover. He said check the PCV system because it could be some leaks in that, not be causing you problem with idle.
Putting a pipe back on.
Yeah, there could be a loose pipe somewhere. So yeah, check all your breather pipes. Hi, Carl. Hi. Oh, he did see that. Sorry, but thanks, Richard. Sorry, just catching up on that. Yeah, everyone's saying hello. So, guys, it's great to see so many members in the chat tonight. Lots of green names in there. I see popping up. So, thanks for being along.
You can also see your oil squirter down there. So it actually squirts oil up into the piston.
That down there.
Yeah,
I see that. Yeah, so I'm just going to mark. I'm just going to highlight
what we'll do is we'll turn the engine over in a minute and we can look at the bore.
Just down there. Yeah.
But I mean, there's no excessive coloration. So if you have really screwed bearings, then heat is your enemy.
Okay.
Because of friction. So you'll often see decoloration in the pistons or in the parts. Now, the second issue here, and this is down to, I guess, fairly bad maintenance, is there's a lot of skirt wear. So if you see here,
so it says skirt. This is this part.
So this is the skirt.
Okay. So we can see there that's polished smooth almost.
And also scratches. So again, it's detritus that's been pulled up into the piston.
Okay. So this is what we class as the piston ring, yeah?
So there's 2 rings and an oil ring.
Yeah. Okay.
So the good news is that they move. So they're still free.
Okay.
But if you look at the build-up.
Yeah, it's absolutely caked on there.
But more importantly,
I can feel that as well.
The oil service ring, which is the bottom one, should actually is full of holes. And if you look, you can't see any of them.
No.
So the oil ring is absolutely full of crappy old oil.
So this bit here, so when we go above the ring, so we've got this top part here. Now that I can run my finger along that and I can actually see this. It's gritty to start with. So if the engine was in pristine condition, I'm presuming there'd be no grit there whatsoever.
Well, it would just be either a cleaner carbon. So you would expect carbon build-up. Of course you would, because it's a petrol engine.
Yeah.
But it would be a much cleaner carbon covering.
So when we put things into the treatment, like petrol treatment, into an engine, we put petrol treatment into the fuel additive into the fuel tank. Is that there to burn this sort of stuff off?
Or carbon cleaning.
Yeah. Okay. So if I was going to add some, like a bottle of Red X, which I've got up there as well, a bit late for that now, I appreciate, but that would be.
Yeah. So I've had to physically get into this oil return ring.
Okay.
To move it.
Okay, so you can take that off, can you?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to take that. So that is the oil return ring. Yeah, you say.
So basically, is your oil seal.
Yeah.
But as I said, it's if you look from behind.
Yeah.
You can actually see.
Oh, you can see there's like little bits. So that allows the oil to return.
The front, it's not.
Oh right, I see. So those holes go all the way through. They're not just indentations.
No, so
wow.
So basically, oil feeds through it
to lubricate the piston. Yeah. Right. Okay.
But not if it's sealed up like that.
Yeah. So that's fun. Yeah. So that's that one.
Right.
Okay.
We can take the other one off.
We'll see how bad they all are. I imagine they're all going to be the same because they should have burnt the same level.
Yeah, it should be fairly standard. It's only a 4-cylinder.
So in an engine, when you've got like your piston rings have gone, they say, don't they? So would you expect all 4 to go at once, or is it a case of one could go and the other 3 might be fine?
So usually it will be, it's the same oil and the same dirt running from all 4 pistons, so it would usually be fairly equal.
So you wouldn't have like one that could fail.
Well, the big issue usually is on more engines with more cylinders. The oil is all fed from this end down.
Yeah.
So by nature, there is more chance of starvation the furthest distance from where the oil is coming.
Okay.
So really, this is the one we should have taken off, but I don't have anything to turn the crank. Because it will usually be the last piston in the process. Because you've got to remember, the oil's running through the crank.
Yes.
From journal to journal.
So the furthest it's got to get is down this end. Yeah. So that would be the worst one you'd have.
And it's the same oil feed to all of them.
Yeah.
So they're all taking a bit of oil, and it's all works out so that one still gets its amount. But if there is blockages, if there's any weakness, then principally it's going to be the last one that has the biggest problem. So this is number 2.
Okay. So they actually have, if we look on these, on the ends of these rods, they actually have the number. So I guess when you're putting it back together, you know that it's number 2, number 3, and number 4. Now, interesting, number 3 has got a circle around it. Is that so you know which way up it goes? What would that circle be? Because they've all got...
Yeah, I guess so. Well, it might be because that one has a different setup behind there.
But what's interesting is you can't really get it confused, can you? Because whatever way up it is, there's only one number 3.
No, so this one...
So I'm just going to flip the camera around. So guys, I hope you're enjoying our engine disassembly video tonight. Please put some questions in the comments. If you've got any questions about what we're doing to this engine, it'd be great to hear your thoughts on it. Have you got any questions yourself? Are you doing something like this? Have you ever done a dismantling like this? Because this is big time dismantling for us. I've not done this before, and I'm learning lots. If you've got any questions, particularly I've got Richard here as well. While he's doing all this, I mean, he could be telling me a load of stuff he's making up on the spot. But I'm pretty sure he's all genuine. But yeah, but if you have got any questions, let us know. But I'm going to spin you back round now so you can see the video.
So here's interesting. You were talking about the difference possibly in the quality. So these are both the lower bearings from the conrods.
Okay.
This is number 2.
Yeah.
Which is number 3.
Yeah.
And that's number 4. Look at the difference in colour between the 2 of them.
Yeah. That's mad. How they can be so different.
It's about the coatings.
And it's not different materials, is it?
No, they're exactly the same. If you look at the backs, they're exactly the same.
Yeah.
It's just, you can also see this hole looks a little bit dirty in comparison to the size of that one. If you look at the size of the oil holes, there's definitely a little bit of variation. So it looks like a little bit. But you can see the difference in coating level. So they will alter. I think if we take the last one off, it will probably be even worse again.
Okay, you said you want to turn the crank on that, didn't you?
I don't need to now.
Oh, you don't need to now?
So we're going to see now, and I might not be able to, but we'll have a go at it, of taking a crank bearing out. So these are the bearings that the crankshaft runs on. And these are very taut, so these usually talk to around, I think it's about 100.
And now we had to take a breaker bar and use some serious elbow grease to get these undone, didn't we?
Yeah.
Guys, if you're enjoying what you're watching tonight, also please do give this video a thumbs up because it helps this get seen by more people. So if you're enjoying this content and you think more people will enjoy it, then definitely make sure you give it a thumbs up.
We'll have a go. I'm just going to get these off like this.
Okay, so we're just going to prise it off.
We'll
try and prise it off. So need a little tap from somewhere.
In fact, let me get.
So we're just going to get the breaker bar on it, or the pry bar. There you go. I see that movement. I was going to say, don't do it too much when you're held on by 2 bolts, and we don't want it falling on your Quattro Sport.
Right. So this one obviously has the side movement as well. So these bearings here
Yeah.
stop the movement from side to side.
Yeah, the lateral movement. Yeah.
So there's one on each side of this, only on this one.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at the bearings on the crank,
I smell that as well.
yeah, number one, they stink, but they're actually in a lot better condition than the bearings on the big end bearings on the.
They seem to be thicker as well. Is that right?
Yeah, they're much bigger. Well, you've got to
Okay.
think the crank is turning singularly.
Yeah.
While they're only doing what they're doing. But if you look at the quality of that one, you still see wear.
Yeah.
So there's actually quite a lot of wear
I can
there.
see that. That's quite badly shined up there.
But again, the crank's in really. The crank will go again. Absolutely, a little polish and it will go. But again, you can see. I'm not sure whether the camera's going to pick up the variation in colour where the wear across the middle is.
Yeah, I can just about make that out. It does definitely look a different in. So Keith has just asked, is diptane a good treatment for carbon in a petrol engine? That I don't know.
No idea.
No. Hopefully someone can help on that though, guys. But
so there we go. So you can see the difference in size between the two.
Yeah.
So and the thickness. I mean,
but that's got no oil hole in it as well.
No.
Is that because there's another part of that that's probably got the oil hole in it around the other side?
It'd be on the other side of
Okay.
it. So in principle, depending on where it is, it's just that literally it'll be on the bottom of it.
Right.
But the width of them is very, very dramatically different. But the wear is comparatively more actually it's deeper on the crank.
Yeah. So can I feel that wear? No, not really.
No, it's just the coating.
Yeah.
So it's not in danger.
No.
But you couldn't put them back on again.
I get that. Okay.
If you have a proper problem, e.g. metal in there,
yeah,
or they've actually gone to the point that they're falling to pieces, you'll have serious scarring on them.
Okay.
And that will automatically take the crank out as well.
Just noticed Richard's doing a great advert for the TT Addicts tonight. Look at that. Go on the TT Addicts, as which I'm a moderator for. One of the best groups on Facebook. Right. Okay. So
you'd know if it was wrong. So burning oil, obviously, could be rings. Any kind of movement in the pistons, you can hear it, tapping or movement in them. So I think what we need to do is just spin it over again. You should be okay with that, like that. Okay,
we're going to spin the engine over, yeah? Do you want me to take the weight out of it so you can take the peg out? We're going to turn the engine up. Do you want me to give you
I just haven't got the angle.
I'm going to put it up the other way.
It'll be fine this way up.
Yeah.
Obviously
can you? That seems to be as.
There we go.
Okay, so we're up. So now we've got the top of the block here, as you can see. So now we've got what we have got now is we can see the heads of the pistons and how you can see how bad the tops of those pistons are right there. All the bits that are on them, but then we can see right down now inside the bore.
You can still see
the scratching in the bore.
The hatching's really good. So if you sort of come over to see this side of it,
right? Which side?
So here,
right? Okay.
You can see the hatching.
Yeah. Okay. So that should be there.
Yeah. So the hatching basically it's almost like, I guess, if you were putting paint on a surface, you rough it up. So the hatching gives oil purchase.
Right. Okay. So it doesn't just like okay. I
but
get
you
that.
won't feel it. I mean, it's literally a brush that runs around.
But if I look down about there, there's like a line. Can you see that line?
Yeah, that may be because of where it was sitting. But more importantly,
I've run my finger over that.
Can you see where the colour changes about halfway down? Because that's where.
Yeah.
So more than likely, because of the oil passage being blocked on the piston, it's creating movement in the piston, and the piston's therefore wearing against the inside of the.
And that's a great shot there of just the looking down inside this piston, which is number 1, I think, and we can see the amount of build up on the top of that piston head. Now that is to get the best bang for your buck and the best explosion and the best quality everything. This needs to be super shined, doesn't it? It needs to be,
or at least be level.
Yeah,
with carbon. So uniform.
Yeah,
is the word.
Which is what it's not right now. It's just, I mean, if that is what has been. I mean, you can see here the damage from the valve, where the valve was impacted the top of the piston head as well. So it's in pretty bad condition. But I think that's I think it's pretty safe to say that this engine is being poorly maintained. It's had a very, very minimal service life. I think maintenance periods have been particularly long. So I'm hoping what's showing you tonight is what happens if you don't maintain your engine. If you don't do regular oil changes, the oil will build up and it'll be like this. If you don't do, if you don't use the right engine oil, that will also happen. But of course, if you're trying to run for long periods of time without maintenance, this is what can happen to your engine. Of course, what happens in the end, all these components are wearing, there's obviously more resistance, there's lack of oil, the engine would have been under so much pressure, I would have thought. So it could it be a case of the engine may have seized for the belt went?
Well, I think nothing. The important thing is it won't get better; it'll only get worse.
Yeah.
So the fact that this number 3 is the worst one that you can see. So obviously we can only see 2 and 3.
Yeah.
But in principle, that wear isn't going to improve. So I think if you were giving me this engine, I think it's savable, but only just.
Okay.
So the crank is actually in really good condition. These could be rehoned, I would suggest, because it's very, very surface and you can't feel any flaw.
Okay.
The piston wear, the skirt wear standard, they all have that. So new piston rings, rehoning, polish the crank, new bearings all the way through.
Okay.
And it would probably go again, but you'd also want to flush all of the oil system.
Right. So when people they take an engine and they have it bored out to make it a bigger literage as such. Obviously, they're going to bore out these holes further, which you haven't got an awful lot of tolerance there, have you?
You're talking. So there's 2 reasons why you bore out more. Number one is you want to put bigger pistons, more bang for your buck.
Yeah.
But the other reason is if this was damaged or worn,
you need to go bigger.
But you're talking going up a bit like the
Thousands.
bearings, a thousandth bigger.
Yeah.
Or you could even have bigger rings. So you're only boring out for a larger piston that's going to be a very, very, because you don't have, as you say, all you've got is that sort of 4 to 5 mil.
Yeah.
And obviously you've also got the issue that the water jacket sits very close in certain places like here.
Yes.
So if you go too close, you actually risk the wall between the piston. Remember, this is getting bloody hot.
Yeah. So what we can't really see in this is we can't see down into the water reservoir.
Well, you can see quite inside here, and it's pretty manky.
Yeah.
You look around where the thermostat was.
Yeah, it's pretty rusty and horrible in there, isn't it? I mean, it's probably been sitting exposed to the elements for a period of time, being a bit damp as well. So that's not going to have helped it, but it is quite serious. But yeah, okay. Well, I think that's a pretty good rundown of the engine tonight. So we've taken it all apart. I'm going to put you back up there now, guys. I'm not going to put you back on the gimbal. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring you there. So I want to thank. Oh, there goes my gimbal. I did have a gimbal, but I've just broke my gimbal, I think. But hopefully it's there's a bit that's just flown off that gimbal. But I think it's just. I'm hoping it's just the little gadget. Yeah. So I'm going to pick that up. So I'm going to bring that round here, and yeah, hopefully that hasn't just completely banjaxed my gimbal. I don't think it has, but I'm going to put it up there for now. Yeah, exactly. Right. Well, I want to thank Richard for that, for coming along tonight and looking and taking the engine apart, because I think it's been a bit of an education, really. Or just close your bonnet. I hope that's not. So guys, if you've got any, turn that and get. There we go. We'll do that, and then we can both get on it. So if you've got any questions for us on that engine disassembly, or if you want to look at anything more in particular, then let us know, and we will do that. But I hope you enjoyed that. Please, fantastic, love that. There you go. Thank you, Claire. That's good to know. It's good to know that that's an insight into your engine. That was a real education for me, because I've not seen an engine stripped down like that before.
You could have gone further, because you can take the oil pump apart as well, which can be very interesting.
Yeah, well, I think there's some really good photo opportunities come out of that, and I think there'll be some good little shorts I might talk about there, so we can go into that. I can't do the disassembly because it's gone so far now. There's no way to get that back together, take it apart again. So, but hopefully you did enjoy that. If you're going to Springfest, Andy, do you want to meet? Oh, I'm going to Springfest because I live here. But I think you're talking to Andy Mortimer there, Paul, aren't you? So I'll let you guys sort that. Andy is coming to Springfest, I know. which is being held on Sunday, the 31st of May. You come to that?
Might be.
I think he'll be there. So there you go. So Richard will be here to ask you. There you can ask Richard all your questions all day long when you come down for Springfest. I'm sure he'll be obliging. So if you do want to come to Springfest, what I will ask you to do, please, is drop me an email at the channel, which is Andy_Charger@hotmail.com. I have got to keep track of numbers. I've only got space for 40 cars in the garden, so I can't just have everyone turn up because otherwise there'll be a lot of disappointed people. I am going to hold 2 Springfest this year, though, so if you can't make the one on Sunday the 31st of May, there will be a second one in August. And of course, if you want to come to both, then you can do so. But of course, if you want to come Sunday the 31st of May at 10 a.m, drop me a message at the channel, say you're interested. I need to know your vehicle reg and your name so I can mark it down the list for the marshals on the day to let you in. Going to do it a bit more official this year, so we're going to do it all. Name's not down, you're not coming in. So please let me know. Will there be cake, Andy? Asking for a friend. Jeff, there will be cake because, of course, we'll have the Springbank kitchen will be in full swing that day, making their amazing sweet treats, their savoury bakes. So food and drink will be available to purchase on the day from the Springbank kitchen. I highly recommend their Victoria sponge and also their brownies because they are very tasty. Hence why I had to get on Monjaro.
That's a question. Would an engine with that amount of damage be smoky? Definitely when cold.
Didn't see that. Well spotted.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was from Keith.
So definitely when it's cold.
Okay, I'm just going to scroll back to make sure we haven't missed anything.
I'll talk while you scroll.
Yeah.
So principally,
I don't think we did miss.
It would be burning oil at least a cold point. The reason being, obviously, expansion. So when the engine's cold, and given I believe the thermostat wasn't working particularly well either, the principle is that there would be some form of leakage, given the oil rings were so clogged up.
I'm surprised there's any oil left in that engine, to be honest.
It was very, very dry, wasn't it?
It's making a nice mess.
Yeah, but not much.
So it's definitely.
But usually you would expect a puddle, even left.
Yeah.
You would expect more oil in the sump than is in there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the sump plug was out, so they drained the engine off.
But it would have been dripping all over the place.
And what I did notice from turning the engine around and rotating it on this stand is no matter how many times you think you've emptied it all out, when you rotate it, more comes out, as we're seeing right now. It is a bit of a pain, but it's just one of those things, I guess. Paul and Andy, if you want me to put you in touch, I've definitely got Andy's contact details. So Paul, if you want to drop me a message at the channel, I'll give you Andy's details if Andy's happy for me to pass it on so you can get in touch rather than doing all clandestine chatting here. Happy to do that for you guys. But while we're all in the chat and we're talking about cars, why don't we talk about the car that I posted up this week for sale, the Azure Blue car. So that is owned by channel member, so Ray Ford. So Ray has got a 96,000 mile Azure Blue car. I think he's got it for 1750. Now, before I told Richard how much it was up for, I told him the specs of the car, told him what it was, and I mean, you suggested about $2,500.
2.5 in good condition with history, yeah.
But I think the issue is it's got bad, or the bodywork's not as good as it could be. Let's not say it's bad, but I think it's as good as it could be. But that's only what I've been told. It's a fairly honest car. It's 96,000 miles. I think it's had 2 owners from you. I think it was a dealership owner, and then after 6 months, I think Ray got the car. So Ray got in touch with me and just asked me what it was worth, and I sort of gave him an indication of what he should expect for it. But interesting to know in the thoughts in the chat tonight what you guys think a car, a 225 BAM with 2 owners in a very rare colour, Azure Blue. Where do you think that should be pitched? And if you've sold a car recently as well, please let us know what did you get for your car and what mileage, or if you're looking at a car now, what sort of money are you looking for those cars? I'd be interested to know because
it's an interesting colour. It's like Morrow blue, but it's more metallic with a bit of purple in it.
Yeah, that's right.
It's quite an interesting colour.
A bit like there's like I want to call it like a blueberry violet or something. What's it called? It's elderberry.
Elderberry's more like bluey. It's more bluey purple, light bluey purple. Because Mr. Parrott had one.
Don had one. Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure he had one. That was his favourite colour, wasn't it?
Mm.
And he was hoping to save
And
it.
it was an absolute donkey.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, we've all remember those videos. But Miss Dom on the scene. I hope to try and get him on to Springfest. Actually, I'm going to try and get him out. I'm going to try my hardest, guys. But he's a busy guy nowadays with his fragrances. So yeah, but we'll see if we can get him here. It'd be great if because he's really great knowledge base of all things TT. But yeah, the engine still is dropping all. But yeah, guys, what do you think on the chat? Now I'm going to scroll down because I might. Oh, I've not missed any comments, but that's all good. And of course, if you're enjoying it, guys, definitely give it a thumbs up so we know that you're enjoying the content tonight. So Richard's Quattro Sport that we've got behind us right here has it's in pretty good condition at the moment. It's very clean. It's obviously it was cleaned to within an inch of its life for the show and shine. I think you've undertaken some jobs this week. You've done the roof rails.
Job from hell. So roof rails. I had a very bit of corrosion on one of my roof rails, and if you've ever had the pleasure, it's a good job or a terrible job. So if you do it properly, with all due respect, and take the rubbers off, then you will know the pain that I had over the weekend, because getting the rubbers back in is an absolute horror story. 2.5 hours just to get the rubbers back into the roof rails, but they look nice now they're done.
Yeah, and of course you've got black rubbers on the black roof rails, so it's
Yes.
so it should it won't be showing too much.
But also it's a sod's law job because you've got 2 of them and you're respraying them, so you take them right as far down as you can. One always sprays really well, and the other one doesn't,
right?
Because that's just the law of having 2 parts that have got to be sprayed.
And of course, if you were looking to now, these roof rails, they tend to be made of a different material. I think the roof is probably one, so they are more. They tend to corrode. Probably the best way to describe it. They do bubble up the paint. Someone's just sent me £5. Who is that? Thank you, Keith. €5. Thank you very much, Keith. Most appreciated. Thank you for sending that €5. That helps support the channel. Thank you very much. The roof rails as such. Because they've got made of a different material. I don't know if that because it maybe corrodes because it's parked against different type of material.
They're very soft metal. So quite interestingly, if you have corrosion, and if you've done it, you'll know, they very rarely pit. So you can rub it back down flat, even though it's corroded, because it is an alloy, but it's very flexible. So when you remove them, for instance, the front hooks in. And if you're lucky and haven't had the windscreen changed, it still will. But obviously, when you have the windscreen changed, they often accidentally remove the clips. Yeah. But at the back, they bend down, and there's 2 torque screws, or a torque screw each side, that sit behind a plastic cover. Yeah. Now, you cannot get them out as they are. You have to actually bend.
They have to slide as well, do they not?
Well, you have to. No, they lift. So there's 3 rubber bungs that lock it in. But you have to bend that back section up, otherwise it won't fit through the gap between the boot and the thing. So it is a very, very soft metal, which is positive to say, because then they don't pit.
Right.
But it means you've got to prep them really well and etch prime them, because otherwise it just won't stick to them.
No, it is. I have taken them off because obviously for the what car was it? I took them off. It might have been the Papaya actually, but obviously I didn't take them off to have them painted. They were done at the place. They took them off. No, the blue car. I took them off on the blue car to clean them actually before I sold it. But yeah, there is a bit of interesting news. So maybe I'll do a little video on how to take your roof rails off on the breaker car in the garden. So I have still got the black roof rails for a black.
Not fancy that.
No, I'm not. Unfortunately, not. They are. I think it's. What is it? The black.
It could be Raven, Panther.
Raven black. That's exactly what it is. I just noticed also that Keith did drop me that that £5 Euro super thanks. Thank you very much for that, Keith. But just to say, it did pop up and say that is the first time you've ever contributed a super thanks from someone's live. So I feel very honoured that you've chosen my channel to donate to. So thank you very much, Keith. And of course, if anyone else wants to donate as well, we were always like to be kept in teas and coffees. Very kind of you. But you may recall as well that I'm off to France in a few weeks to do a bit more than a few weeks, 2 months I think I've got to get it ready. Got to get that silver roadster ready for going around France. It does need a bit of work. It needs a service, and it is going to have a fuel filter, because you may recall that I was talking about doing the fuel filter a few weeks ago on the Papaya. I looked through the service history on the Papaya, and this is one thing I'd recommend if you're ever looking to either sell your car or if you're looking to buy a car, is to have a look through for all these little jobs that are done. the proprietor fuel filter done about a month before I bought the car. So I think less than 2 years ago, it's fine. I won't need to do that again. But something that I point out, if you are looking to do the car, maybe you've had a car, you've got a good service history and you're trying to sell it, you're not quite sure what's been done to it. Go back through it with a real fine tooth comb and find the things that have been done. Things like if it's a new alternator recently, because cars, if you can limit down the things that could potentially fail in the car in the future that have been done, have been completed. And I talk about things such as timing change on the 3.2. Pretty sure you'd know if that had been done because it's a big job, but it's always good to have a cam belt change. Look through your service history. If you've had a cam belt done not long before you've bought the car or since you've had it in ownership, make sure you let people know that that's been done recently, because they're quite big maintenance jobs that will cost a lot of money. And it's good to evidence to someone when you're selling a car, or if you're buying a car, when it was done. Because if you are buying a car that has no evidence of a timing belt done, no evidence of a pickup pipe done on a 20-year-old car, they're two jobs I would get done as soon as possible.
And the Haldex is the other one.
And the Haldex as well. I would recommend, if you know what you're doing, you can do them yourself. Bryn's got a brilliant video out there for doing your own cam belt. Even though I've done it myself with his careful supervision, I don't know if I'd do it again myself, to be honest, but maybe. There was a couple of stages that were quite trickier that he did actually sort of go, this is what you need to do, and did help me. But I'm sure he's done that and got that covered in the video. The oil pickup pipe, as I say, that is easy to do. Really surprised by how bad that sealant was on that sump. Never seen one that thin before. Have you ever seen one that thin before?
I can't believe it's even holding anything.
Well, no, I'm surprised by that. I think it was just it probably welded the metal together. Maybe that's what was holding it together. But interesting. Well, this engine that we've got in bits now, then. So I'm going to continue to take that apart over the next few weeks, and I guess I can get to the stage that block, the cylinder block, will just literally be flat top end and flat bottom end. So I might make a coffee table out of it.
Yeah, that's what it's for.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I'm going to do. Make a little coffee table. I'm sure the wife will love that. Maybe not. Maybe a nice glass top on it. And yeah. And I'm halfway through building the sign. As I'll show you my sign. I always like to talk about things I'm doing differently. So this will be appearing on the live probably next week. It'll be at the back of the garage and be backlit as well. So Richard's getting to see the other side of it. So this is the new sign for the channel. Obviously, it's my logo. So yeah, so you see a lot of videos, or I see a lot of videos at the moment on TikTok and YouTube where people are making these in like LED lights, and I think they're all AI. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to make one. So I've gone ahead this weekend and I've made one when I've been not making videos. There you go. So you'll see that on the channel next week, all backlit and looking great. So again, just to recap on Springfest, as mentioned it earlier, if you are looking to come, make sure you drop me an email at the channel. It'd be great to have you along. I've still got a few spots left, so if you're interested in coming along, I can squeeze you in, but we are getting full quite quickly now. But yeah, it'd be really good to see all old friends as well and new friends alike. Because some guys that have been before, and girls, they can't make it this time, so there's definitely some spots for new people. And everyone that comes always loves it, so it's always good as long as the weather's good, which will be. Yeah, so fingers crossed we'll all be good. And of course, if you can't make it, then there will be other opportunities in August. But I have got people coming from quite far afield this time. I've got someone coming from Glasgow. So Claire, I know that you are unable to make it this time, but I have got someone else coming from Glasgow, driving down. Jim Girdwood's coming down all the way from Bonnie, Scotland. He's booked a hotel locally. And I've got someone coming from even further. I've got someone coming from Holland for this time. So one of the guys that was at the TT International show said he'd like to come. He bought an Andycharger t-shirt as well.
Well, you're not far from Dover, really. So.
No, exactly. I'm 45 minutes from Dover. So if there's any Europeans watching tonight, so Robbie, I know we spoke, I think we might have spoke briefly about it, but if you're interested in coming, you're more than welcome to come over as well. Always good to get. That'll be quite interesting to have European cars in the garden. Won't be the first time I've had European cars in the garden, because obviously Patrick Caboot came over last year or year before last. He bought a car from the UK and took it back, but he also came over with his wife, and they we had dinner in a local pub, and he came over with his TT, and we had a great picture of a Belgian and a UK TT in the garden. Really quite cool. What have we got there? Fuel filter, okay, got it. Alternator will do a check. I've already done timing. Thanks, Andy. Yeah, I think they're just some of the jobs to check. I know, Claire, you're working through your list of jobs and you're doing a lot of that yourself, so hats off to you for that. and it's good to know that the channel's inspiring people to do their own maintenance.
Alternator's quite an easy one because obviously you're just looking for voltage.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Alternator is, yeah, you can obviously check your alternator working, if it's working or not, by checking your voltage on the secret menu. So if you go to the secret menu, so if you don't know how to do that, you hold down the recirculate button and also the up arrow, is it?
Yeah.
And then that
Top
comes,
right.
yeah, in the top right on the little on the air conditioning controls, and that will bring up a display in the middle of it that will has to be turned on at the time. I think, if I remember right, you have to have the air conditioning on to do it. And when you do it, it comes up as 1C, and you use the left-hand control. I can't remember if it's temperature or fan speed, and you click it side to side, and you move up from the numbers 1C, 2C, 3C, 4C. The number you need for alternator voltage is 20C. So you move up to 20, and when you get to 20, you press the recirculate button again, and that will show you on the little screen, obviously with the engine running, the amount of voltage that's being produced at the battery level. So of course, you've got a 12-volt car battery, and when that is actually your engine's running, your alternator is actually kicking out about 14 volts, not 12. So if you are getting less than if you're getting less than 14 volts by a lot, it's in a bad way. If you're getting less than 12 volts, it's a good sign that your alternator is not charging your battery. So it means the battery's running flat. If your alternator is working, you'll be seeing 14 volts. And if you give the accelerator a little tweak, you'll notice the voltage will jump up a little bit as well as it gets more.
The aircon can drop it down to about 13 and a half because of the strain that the aircon's putting on the engine. But again, as Andy said, it should go up if you rev.
Yeah.
But obviously, if your alternator is shagged, it's a very good time to do your thermostat.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, because that's that you access that all at the same time. Now, Keith has just asked there between 12.5 and 13.5 volts. I think it should be higher than that if the alternator is running well.
Yeah.
If it's running that low, it may be starting to fail. Maybe that could be it. It's not charging as efficiently as it once did.
It could be your bit on the back rather than the alternator itself.
It could be, yeah. It could be your regulator on the alternator, which is what it was on mine. Change that out. Now, a few people have mentioned about that since, just to recap on the alternator. When I changed the alternator on the 3.2, again, I didn't spend £150, £200 on an alternator. I spent £30 on a new regulator from Autodoc. They sent me the part, I swapped it out, put it back on, and fixed the problem. I have since been to Belgium and back, and I've done various other journeys. Car's been fine, and I'm absolutely paranoid, so I'm always checking the voltage is still up there, and it's been okay. A lot of people have said that if it's another part of the alternator that's failing that's caused the regulator to fail, it could burn out quite quickly and cause more problems. Touch wood, so far, I haven't had that problem, so I can't guarantee that is fact or not, but I say right now, it all seems to be good. So yeah, I'm just going to have a quick look through the comments because Fatal Flies, but even gents, I've replaced my fuel pump recently with an aftermarket one. It's rather noisy, but it seems to be running fine. Is noise expected, and how can I check if my fuel pressure is still okay?
It could just be a noisy pump because if it's aftermarket,
yeah, it could be. It could be a multitude of things. If the fuel is, if you're noticing any loss in performance, let's say, so if the engine's running rough, engine's idling badly, you're not getting the power you once got, then you could have a fuel flow problem. I guess it could be like a bit kangaroo, a bit intermittent. I've got one on the shelf, actually, a spare one, so if I ever need that, which I winched out of the breaker car, so I do have that. But you would notice that, I think, if you're having fuel filling pressure problems, you'd notice that. I don't think it's a case. I don't think there's one on the secret menu for fuel pressure.
No, the thing is if you're not fueling, you'd know, because the car either would run like a dog or the ECU will be adapting because it's not getting enough fuel. So it would suddenly go very rich.
Yeah.
So you'd smell it because obviously it would have to adapt for a lack of fuel by adding other stuff. But you can usually tell because if the car runs as it should, and the rev sits where it should, but you can obviously buy or borrow a fuel pressure tester, which goes on the regulator. But as I said, you'd know if it wasn't fueling efficiently.
Yeah, because it's am I right to say it's not a high pressure fuel system? It's just like primed and it pumped through from the pump at the back. Is that right? So it doesn't have a pump under the bonnet as such, does it? It's all in the. So it's all a bit in the tank.
It doesn't have a high pressure fuel pump does it on the end of the cam.
No,
No,
no.
not like nearly everything else.
Yeah, so that's so yeah, so you probably noticed that when you get in the car and you open the door and you haven't driven it for a bit, you'll hear the pump prime. As soon as you hear that open that door, you hear it prime up. Now, if you don't hear the pump prime, don't panic, because a lot of people say if you open the door and the pump doesn't prime, you've got a problem. Now, it could be if you've driven the car recently, the pressure is still in there, it's still primed. It will drop naturally over time because that's what happens as the fuel sort of like returns into where it needs to go to. But if you've actually primed the car, you've driven it, you've then turned the engine off, you've got out, got back in it, gone to open the door again, it won't re-prime itself. It won't try and do it again. So don't panic. If you have not driven it for a while and you open that door and there is no sign of the fuel pump priming, it could be one of two things. You might have a flat battery, or it could be that the fuel pump has actually failed and it doesn't prime. But I don't know what your thoughts are.
Well, it's not just that, it's also with your pump. If you have left the car for a week and you try and start it and it takes a hell of a long time to start, that would tell you that the fuel pump isn't pumping hard enough.
Yeah.
Even if you leave the car, it should still be turnkey.
Yeah. Now, I had a problem with the blue car. In fact, I had the silver car as well. That the blue car would drive okay, and then it would start kangarooing and messing around, and then it would stall and it wouldn't restart. And it did this at Simply Audi a couple of years ago. To my embarrassment, as I got to the actual car park, I drove into Simply Audi, and the main tarmac car park, he decided to do this, and other patrons had to push me across the car park. Quite embarrassing. I then drove home and broke down at the services at Cobham, the Cobham services, and Carl and Chris waited for me, so they were really good to me and looked after me for the evening. Even though they didn't have to stay, but they did. So thanks for that, guys. Amazing legends for doing that. But when I got the car home after paying a massive bill and joined the RAC at the roadside, I thought it was fuel pump because of the symptoms it had. But of course, what it did do is it used to run with okay when it got hot, and then when it got hot, it would have a problem. When it cooled down, it'd be fine again. And this happened a couple of times until in the end I started looking. I changed the fuel pump. I thought I'd fixed it, but of course, what had fixed it is the car had cooled down. So when I got home, it was fine. It wasn't that, and it turned out to be the crankshaft position sensor of all things that were the problem on that car. And then of course the silver car had the same behaviour, and people were saying, "Oh, you need to change your fuel filter or your fuel pump's packing up." Absolutely not. It has all the symptoms of that, the kangarooing and the stalling, like your fuel's not getting through, but it actually turned out to be the position sensor.
Because you've got to remember, the ECU is looking for basically messages from around the car. So my son's got a Corsa, and his was running it ran rich and the engine light would come on. And nothing to do with the fuel, nothing to do with the engine, is his lambda sensor on the exhaust. Because it's got to see the crank position, the camshaft position, the output and input to the exhaust system, and NOx sensors is watching. So it has so many things that it's considering, as well as within the actual system. You've got your MAF sensor, your mass sensor. So it's an absolute quote. So at least 9 different sensors are telling the ECU the condition of the car and the engine, and adapting and trying to adjust to make the car run as well as it can.
Yeah.
So it can be very difficult, I guess, to diagnose without reading the meter or having an engine code.
Yeah, and you know what? And I can't remember who this was that I was talking to this week online, but someone was telling me that they were having, it was someone based in Kent actually, and I just remember their name, but I won't name them, but they did mention that they were having a problem with their car. They'd put their car back together and now it didn't run particularly well. And I said, okay, I was getting a NOx sensor fault. That's what it was. It was getting a NOx sensor fault. And I said, there was no question of what had been done at this point, right? So he's saying, I've got, so no, that's the crankshaft there, isn't it? There's the NOx sensor there. There's two. We can actually show you those. So I'm just going to give you a little, because I show you these off, because people talk about a NOx sensor. So they are two. There's one right here. You can see it's like a round thing with a plug coming off there, right? And a round one there. So either side of the dipstick, you can see where they are. If they're just up there, it'd be under your intake manifolds.
They have the best name for what they are looking for.
Yeah. They're looking for
noise in the cylinders.
They are exactly that's exactly what they're listening for. Now, when I had a knock sensor failure in my car, and I went to my garage, and my mechanic said, "Won't be a knock sensor, mate. I've never heard of a knock sensor failure." And I said, "Well, it's telling me that on the dash." "No, it won't be that, mate." Anyway, it turned out it was that, because what had happened is where I'd been working removing the oil pressure sensor, I'd obviously knocked one of the wires, funny enough, the knock sensor, and I'd obviously pulled the wire out. So it wasn't the actual knock sensor, it was the plug that went in, obviously loosened the wire. Replaced that, and it was fine. So the person that was asking about they were getting this knock sensor fault, I said, "Have you been working underneath the manifold at all?" And the response was, "No, all I've done is change a couple of PCV pipes." And I was like, I didn't go back. But what I should have said was, "Well, it's funny that I've worked out where you're working without knowing where you're working."
Absolutely.
So, but I didn't go back with that. But if you are on and watching, then I'll just reiterate what I said, that you know, I knew where you were working, so it probably is definitely worth checking out those, because you know, although you're not working on a knock sensor, if you've pulled a wire out, that could be it. And it only has to be a slight tap on these old engines. These plugs, you can't really see that, but the plugs are quite brittle and quite old, and they're easy to break. So definitely keep an eye on that. Yeah, I see that. I'm just going to go back through.
Keep going.
More than that.
Yeah.
And I've read those ones. Claire's put, "I had to wait for my choke to kick in. It takes nearly 2 minutes. Is this normal for everyone?"
It doesn't have a choke.
No, I was going to say it's a fuel injection. But yeah, you probably mean for the idle to calm down. Maybe it could be that, but that could be a lot of things. It's always going to rev higher when it starts because it's trying to balance.
Yeah, so Claire, this is something called cold start. So it's like I guess a choke, but it's not. So when an injection turbo engine starts up, it actually throws a lot more into, because it's running cold. So it the mixture's wrong while it's cold. So it will often rev higher. Not really for 2 minutes. It's usually about 30 seconds or so, and then the car should settle down to 750 RPM. If it's longer than that, it could be that your injectors are blocked or not running particularly efficiently.
Could be a MAF.
It could be, as you say, a MAF sensor, or the crank, the cam sensor. But it should only be for about 30 seconds, and then the car should go back to its normal sort of running speed.
Now, these are still available new, are they not? So this is your cam sensor on a. So this is the cam sensor on the 1.8 turbo engine. It bolts on the side of the cylinder head, and it also so that is the mechanism. Now you can get hold of these new still. I think you can still get these from Audi, but I think because it's a BAM engine and they're pretty standard on 1.8T, I don't think they're different across the range. I think they might be a stand part. I'm pretty sure that a Golf Mark 4 one will fit and do the same job. Is that right? I think it's a VW pack. I might be wrong, but I think they are.
It's all about the contact, isn't it?
Yeah.
So basically, it's a magnetic contact, or it's looking. So there's a contact there, if you see inside it, and usually
we'll do that.
Yeah. So it's usually one or two things. It's either running to a toothed, I guess, wheel, and there'll be a missing tooth that it picks up.
In fact, what I'm going to do,
You've got the head.
Yeah, I have. So I think it's this bit here.
Yeah.
It's this end.
So you'll see different size gaps between in here. So one bigger, smaller. It reacts to the size of the
like that.
What it sees through the gaps.
Yeah. So that is seeing those gaps between the end of that camshaft. So that is the inlet side of the camshaft. It's got the smaller cog on that end, and it's also got that for the camshaft. That's magnetic there, I think. But then the other one, the big camshaft, I'll get you that to have a look at as well. You won't get muddled up, that's for sure, because this is the one that's doing all the driving this is the one that's doing all the driving off the cam belt. So that's where your cam belt goes around on that tooth wheel there. So that's what takes all the load. They've got the same, I think they're the same size cogs on the other end, but obviously that is for your exhaust side camshaft, and the smaller one that goes in that is for your inlet side.
Which is driven from that one.
Yeah, they're both driven off the same. Oh, we're getting into that well now. So there's we like to talk about different things. I'll show you the rest of it. So those two camshafts are driven by the cam chain. So when people say it's got a timing belt, it hasn't got a chain, that's not strictly true, because it does have that chain inside the head. So that sits in, but all it does is keep the two camshafts in time with each other, and it goes around this is it like an oil pump, I guess, for it, or what was that classed as, that bit? I'm not sure what that's classed as, but that has two like here we go.
Yeah, so it's a hydraulic.
Yeah, so that
pressure
has
unit.
So that's like, it's like an oil pump, isn't it? It pumps. I'm pretty sure it pumps oil through it.
It's a hydraulic tensioner.
Right, hydraulic tensioner. There we go. I need to know what it's called.
So it uses the engine's oil pressure to put pressure to lift, or to put the pressure on the chain.
Shall we have
But it is important because it is timed. Obviously, that chain is timed to the two camshafts.
Yeah.
The only one is being driven off of the timing system.
I have got two valves here, but these aren't the valves I was looking for, because these are pretty straight actually for valves. They're not too bad. That one's a little bit quicker. You can see the head of that. They're not definitely the valves we're looking for. But I'm not too worried about it. But we talked about them before on here. I thought I'd put them up on there, but obviously I'm not. But anyway, won't worry about it. Have you got any more comments for us, guys? Anything other than the PCB? I'll send you a video after the live, Andy. See if you have any idea. Thanks for the info, chaps. No worries, buddy. Demetros, 1.8 turbo convertible. Always had moisture in the interior. Ha ha ha! I have a solution for you. So this thing here is what I have in my 1.8T Roadster. I've got a couple of these in there. I actually keep one of these, believe it or not. I have one down in the CCM void to keep any risk of any moisture out of there. So it sucks all the moisture out of the air. Have one in your car as well. It sucks all the moisture out of the air. It stops you having that furry steering wheel in the winter. If you don't drive your car over the winter, this keeps all the moisture out of the air and keeps your car looking good. Now, the good thing about these is they are like full of like silica beads. And when this blue window goes pink, it means it is full of moisture. And all you do, you stick it in the microwave for 30 seconds, heat it back up, and it goes blue again. You put it back in the car, it dries, and it keeps sucking moisture. So they absolutely recommend those.
But it is also obviously worth checking the drains.
It's also worth doing that. But I think a lot of the people talk about drains, and that's the first thing they go to when there's moisture around the CCM. But I would say a lot of the problem is the window leaking. I think, and it might not be obvious that window's failed, but the difference between the drains overflowing and the window leaking is because the drains have got two like little plastic covers in either side of the car, which are like little trays, and they've got a little cross hole in the middle of them. So the moisture goes down, it goes around. It's not designed to leak the back of the car into those little cups, sucks the moisture away. Now, if those drain holes have failed, there's not really where that moisture is going to go other than around your wings of your car or the rear quarters of the car. It's not going to the CCM. So if the CCM is getting wet, more often than not, it's because the water is staying on that roof void and it's ending up in the lowest point, which is in your CCM void. So I think it's normally a window that goes, because then when that's gone, rain comes in from anywhere and just goes straight and sits on that. It doesn't actually filter away.
But they are leaky old car. I mean, this one here is, a late CT. It's a coupe. Take it to the car wash. There's still water inside the windows.
Right. I've just realised I deleted that message by mistake, but I've just put it back up. So sorry about that, Demetrius, but hopefully that helps you. Likely the drain to the hood. Yeah, unlike, I think most of the time is to say this, the window. It can be that drain is the design drain around the back, but it tends to be that the rear windows failed on most of them. Kenneth Frazee, yes, my cam sensor went out pre-VVT car, so it doesn't really affect anything. Oh, okay. Would blocked injectors cause, yes, is the answer to that before it jumped up. Would blocked injectors cause rough running, misfire when under pressure and bluish blackish smoke. Well, I'm not sure about that bit. Poor running, absolutely, because it means your engine's being starved of fuel. It's not delivering fuel effectively and efficiently. I'm going to do a deep dive video on how you can DIY service your injectors and how you can keep them declogged. I did do that on one of my lives a few weeks ago, but I'm going to do a video on how to do it as well.
It is worth talking of injectors. So there are a number of parts to the injector as well as the actual injector itself. So it is, unless you've been using crappy, cheap, nasty fuel, it takes a lot to block an injector. But what you have is a number of parts to the injector and what it sits in. So it's more likely
that is your injector right there.
You have a rubber seal at each end, so they often leak,
yeah,
which will obviously reduce them. But then they also sit in a plastic cup in the inlet manifold.
Yeah, so these are this is the other end of it, but this is the fuel rail side of it.
Have you got the inlet manifold?
I might have, but they also clip into. So they clip in here. They've got like a little square retaining clip that holds them to the fuel rail. What's Richard talking about the leak as well as they fit in that cup. These little rubber O-rings, which you can actually buy these as replacement O-rings.
Might be a pack. Yeah.
You buy a pack of those. You can still get them. But they are things that you can replace. But that is a standard injector right there. You can see that square plug you've got right there. That clips into the harness. Now I've cut one of mine off. You can see that I've cut that off the harness. And what this is so that I can wire this to the battery and cause this to fire. So I can cause this injector to take fuel. So what I do is I force fuel into one side of the injector. Through it's not fuel, but I use carb cleaner, and then I squirt into there, pressure it up, attach the battery, and it sprays at the nozzle, and I can see the spray pattern, what comes out against the wall, what's happening. And then what I do by putting the carb cleaner through it, it clears the injector, and then it's good to go again. So I'm going to do a video on that. But Richard's got the
So the other issue is if you look where they sit. So obviously this sits like that in there. They sit in
put that in there,
so they sit in a cup which screws into the inlet manifold. So these it's hexagonal because you can screw them in. But again, it's good old plastic on something that gets hot in a very hot engine bay that's sweating oil and has done 20 years of service. These can erode, crack, break down. So often you can take this off or remove this and see puddles of puddles of fuel around the actual injectors. So they do an upgrade, like an aluminium upgrade cap, rather than the plastic one, which is obviously a much better thing.
What always surprises me about these, they're really loose. That it always, you think that is all that's holding your, and there's not an awful lot of like pressure in that holding it in. But like Rich said, you can take them out of it with a really big Allen bolt, take them out, screw them out, and replace those. But that is your injector right there, and that's the bit you need to swap out. But yeah, so there you go. So that is your injectors. Right, I'm going to put those back on the shelf. I'm going to move that back up there, let you see if there's any more comments coming in.
I've got 30 fingers now.
Yeah.
Right, so wood blocked injectors called. So so blocked injectors will it create bluey blackish smoke? Not necessarily, because black smoke means oil, and blue smoke means oil as well. Black smoke is burning, blue isn't. So usually turbo seals and turbos will create blue smoke with a TT. Because it's purely burning oil rather than detritus.
So that when does the chain need replaced? Is that now clear? Is that because I know you've got a 1.8T engine, so you're talking about replacing that little chain we showed you on the
Never heard it been changed.
No. So even if you had to change, I don't know, you've got the head off, not the head off, but you've got the
thing is, it's not a pressure chain. It's not. All it is running between two. It's a bit like, it's running the same as the one that's running on the oil pump. It is. It's doing such. It's not. Again, there's no tension or stress on it. So I've never heard. I mean, I'm happy to be proved wrong, but I've never heard of anybody who's changed that chain.
Okay, but the chain, the 3.2 V6 timing chain,
Different game
absolutely, yeah.
altogether.
So that is something that needs changing. And I have, I do cover that in my 3.2 deep dive video, and the reasons why that chain fails, what you can do to prevent the chain wear, and the preventative measures you can take to keep your engine living as long as possible. Because there are a lot of things you can do. Your style of driving has a big influence on that chain wear as well, believe it or not. Kenneth has said Rosa CCM is strategically positioned to catch rainwater when drains are clogged. Yeah,
It's not unique.
No.
If you get any BMW, half the control units are under the seats.
Yeah, waiting to get wet in something. I've just done my seals with Shin Etsu, and the sun has made them go nice and plump.
Is that porn or is that something to do with the car?
I don't know. So you've done your seals. I've done my seals with, and the sun has made them go. Oh, is it is that seals around a window, around the door? It might be around your door because you had a leaky door. Now maybe that's because I was saying that because I think Claire's done the shims around the back. Oh, with. So I think she was doing the shims.
So. Otherwise, I'm gonna.
No, I'm pretty sure she did. I'm pretty sure she put the shims because the door has a tendency to drop, doesn't it?
Oh, they all did, mine did.
Yeah.
They all did. You can always tell because the line doesn't quite go.
And it also starts to wear the inside of your door. I've got it on the roadster actually, where so I need to.
But that's often also because the rubber on the end isn't on properly.
Right. Okay.
It's the usual.
I'll have a look at that. So Demetrius retracted his message again. He keeps doing that. Yeah. Thank you guys, Toronto, Canada. Oh, good to hear we're being watched in the land of the maple leaf because love a bit of Canada. Where are the moisture pads from, Andy? Oh, Andy Mortimer. I think you can get them from most places. I reckon you can get them on my TikTok shop if you look carefully. But no. I would say that I'd get them wherever they're cheap. Find them cheap. They're everywhere seems to do them. Like Temu does them. Anywhere you could buy a load of them. I think they're only about £5 anyway, but I'd definitely get a few. What have we got there? Oh, Claire sent another £5. Thanks, Claire. You're an absolute diamond. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for sending me £5. I'd be homeless without you at the moment, I think. What have we got there? The little one. Yeah, the little one is definitely is not one that Richard's heard of ever being changed. So I'm sure someone told me they changed that chain a little while back. I can't remember who it was.
If you had ridiculous mileage on it, I guess it could stretch to a degree.
I wonder if that black TT in Ypres has had changed.
Yeah, mileage.
230,000 miles, 300,000 kilometres. 300,000 kilometres, and that car still looks immaculate. So that, guys, for those of you who were in Ypres, that black car inside the show and shine at the back, the lowered one, Stance TT, in my video. You're going to have a look at it. It looks amazing. It's got 300,000 kilometres on the clock and it's still going.
I don't think the paint's original.
No, not Trigger's broom.
Yeah,
someone said something about that Trigger's broom, that car. But yeah, I think it obviously has had a lot of work. But to be fair, he loves that car, and it's it's not the first time I've seen that car either. I don't know if it was at the show at the weekend, guys. So Robbie, if you're still the one is it Zwolle? Is it pronounced Waller? I don't know how you pronounce it, but the show in the Netherlands this weekend, I don't know if it was there as well. That seemed to be mainly Mark 1s, and that show in September is only Mark 1. So might see if I can round a few of the trips up for that. Fancy a trip to Holland in September. Go and have a little tour around. Yeah, absolutely.
Cheese.
But of course, it's actually the week after Quattrofenia. So for those of you that don't know about Quattrofenia, we do a trip to the south coast. We start in Crawley Down, I think it's classed as. It's the Duke's Head pub, and we drive on the back roads on the normal London to Brighton route. We tend to go up through Ditchling Beacon and park at the top of Ditchling Beacon. The last couple of years has been a nightmare there, so we've actually avoided that. And last year it was actually the road was closed and we drove straight to Brighton Marina. And we meet at Brighton Marina. We park on the multi-storey car park roof, get some great shots of the cars all lined up, and then we're going to have some dinner at the marina. So if you're interested in coming to Quattrofini, we normally start at the Duke's Head pub in Crawley Down at 11 a.m. We get down to Brighton for about 2:30, something like that. And then we have some dinner and then we come back. But then the week after that, we're looking to maybe go to Holland for this new, or this Audi TT Mark 1 meet. Christoph, I can see if you sent a video to me on Insta, so I will check that out afterwards so I can see what's going on for you and see if I can help you. I've just seen the video, thanks to that, buddy. I had blamed smoke on turbo. Oh, I had blamed smoke on turbo seals, but it was the PCV system, 1.8T. It was very picky about crankcase ventilation. So I guess if it's pumping oil back in the engine, it's going to burn that blue smoke.
It's very easy to know just how much oil. A lot of people take it off, and a lot of people will go to a catch can, because if you take the PCV cut pipes off and look how much oil is in them, it can be fairly scary. You remember that's feeding back in.
Yeah.
So it's not like venting to air; it's venting all of that back into the engine.
Yeah. So do you know what? If you're still on Andy, so Andy Mortimer's on the chat earlier, and he's got that purple Merlin roadster that was in Ypres, and he's had all sorts of dramas getting that car going again, getting it running well, and he'd done everything on that car, I think, along with his great mechanic Tony, who was also a big shout. Tony was in Ypres as well, and they'd done all sorts to get it running well, and it was still causing problems to the point that he said, we're gonna do the catch can and see if that solves it. They fitted a catch can and it solved all the running, and it got to Ypres, no problems, got back from Ypres, no problems, all thanks to adding a catch can.
Well, because what you're doing is you're removing a process. So if you think about how the engine works, in principle, the PCV system is basically taking all the oil vapor from the engine and around the engine and basically putting it back in to be burnt through the pistons. If you remove all the PCV on the front, so let's go back a stage. If that PCV at the front is inefficient or it's not working, there's a number of valves in the PCV at the front, then obviously you're collecting. And if you remember when we first took this engine apart here, the actual oil inlet from the PCV was absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, it was.
So what you're doing with a catch can is you are basically removing the PCV flow. So instead of going around 6 million pipes and then flowing back in through the puck to the engine, what you're doing is basically you're taking it straight out at the first point to the catch can, which is collecting the oil residue, and then basically feeding clean air or cleaner vapor back in through the puck into the engine. So it isn't more efficient, but it's like anything, why remove the N49 and the N72 valves? If it wasn't needed or the car didn't run best with it, Audi wouldn't have put it on there.
Yeah, I always say that when people are talking about deleting bits off the car, doing away with things, I say, I know there's a lot of great guys out there that do a lot of aftermarket mods, but you are essentially pitting your knowledge against the multi-billion-pound investment Audi made in designing the car in the first place. I've let Rich into a bit of a secret about an interview I might have coming up shortly on the channel. I'm not going to reveal too much, but talking about Audi and the origins of this car, I've got something really exciting to share with you guys soon, and it's a bit of a coup for the channel. I don't think anyone else has ever managed to do this, but I might be wrong. But I will keep you posted, so keep your eyes peeled on the channel. We've got some other exclusives coming to the channel. We actually have, I've got those, yeah. So Ray has just sent me a £4.99 super thanks. It says, let's celebrate their first super on a live stream. So thank you, Ray. That's the first time you've ever donated to someone's live. Thank you very much for that. Ray kindly sent me a set of mud guards or mud flaps from a TT, and these are genuine Audi TT mud flaps,
which are worth more than his Audi.
Yes, well, thank you very much.
But that's more than most Audis.
Well, they are. But what I didn't realise and didn't think about until these were sent to me is, of course, the front mud flaps and the rear mud flaps are different. So I think these are the rear mud flaps. So they're a slightly smaller mud flap like that, because I guess they're not spraying as much, because they're not doing side and lateral and turning motion, not spraying it as widely. Is that why?
Right.
But they're much smaller. They've got a smaller fitting, and then you've got. Well, I don't know if it's the actual bit at the bottom. Maybe it's just the fitting part itself. But that is the fitting for the front mud flaps, front and rear mud flaps. Now, a set of those, I think, for the TT are about £250. So I was very grateful for Ray to send those to me. So thank you very much for that, Ray. I will be lining those up to go on the papaya to make it even more OEM plus than it already is. So I'm looking forward to fitting those. They've got a bit of like a bit of a texture to them. So I don't know if that is the plastic they're made out of, if that's a build up or something, but I wasn't they've got clean. Can you feel? I need to clean up.
Yeah, they're definitely not flat.
No, so interesting. I imagine they'd be like black rubber, like normal car mud flaps, but they're not. They're definitely a different material. 250 quid. Ouch. Yeah, I'm just going to scroll back.
Bizarre. But it's like anything. It's like armrests and cup holders.
Yeah.
And roof racks. You know, because there aren't that many of them, they have a premium, and it's like anything, is it? It's supply and demand. If it's like, you know, my car is worth a lot more than most CTs, and if people keep paying more and more for them, the price will just keep going up, and it's been the same for years.
You mentioned a very interesting item there, because you mentioned the armrest. Now, the armrest is not a genuine item.
No, it's
aftermarket thing.
Absolutely,
but it's not. But the cup holder, absolutely genuine. There are some really nice like features that were, let's call them, what do you class those as? Like accessories class them as. So the mud flaps is definitely one of those. You don't see them around very often. You can't get hold of them new anymore. That's why they hold their money and worth a premium, because at the end of the day, they're a piece of rubber. And fun enough, when we were in Ypres, and I keep going back to that, but Simon Matthews, one of my fellow show hosts that arranged the meet, he said, "Oh, I've got something to show you," and he came in with this piece of rubber about the size, about like that sort of size, a lump of rock hard rubber, shaped rubber, but really hard and really dense. He said that is for a Bentley, and Thierry had asked him to pick these parts up from Bentley before he came over. Just a piece of rubber, like a spacer.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's it.
£630 for a piece of rubber. I couldn't believe it. I saw that.
Well, it's a bit of trim. It sits between the trim.
He had two of them as well. Yeah. So there you go, from Bentley. But anyway, I diversified.
One thing about these is if you fit them, you need to chuck loads of like wax oil and everything, because you've got to think this is sitting against the car.
I can't see you.
Sorry,
I'll bring you on.
You think this whole area is locked between the car and the plastic, and water will sit there and obviously be sprayed up. So it's very easy to have water stuck in that gap.
Yeah.
So most people basically cover them in grease or whatever before they install them.
Okay, that's a nice little tip.
Otherwise, like everything, the TT will rot.
So just going back to Andy Mortimer's, I'm going to go back about the accessories a minute, but we're going to go back to Andy says, so cats can work wonders. Before being fitted, it idled awful and didn't want to run when first started, and generally drove awfully. So it made a massive difference.
But they say you could have put a smoke system on the a smoke tester on the car, and you'd have probably looked like London skyline. Because they do leak like hell.
And Sid's put there, does anyone sell 3D printed mud guards or mud flaps? Do you know what? I thought that when I looked in the mirror, I thought if you could print these, you'd make a killing, wouldn't you? But obviously they're not genuine still, are they? Because they are just 3D printed. But you could do it. But then they're no different to any other mud guards you could buy for the car. Mobile phone holder is not good.
There's lots of different ones.
Yeah,
there was one that sat in the centre armrest, wasn't there?
There was, and there's also one you get that people have now with like modern phones with the magnet on the back of them. Is you can get one that you pull the two air vents out and you put like a mount between them. You also get a cup holder that goes as well. So that's a good way of mounting your
so I've gone the other way, and I've got carbureted.
Yeah, you've got one of those, which I've got around else somewhere. It's another. Oh, it's there.
So
this one I made earlier.
It's brilliant and rubbish, because it's brilliant to get to Andy's, because my trip to Andy's is through the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
But obviously you don't have an auxiliary port.
No.
So you do have to run it through a modulator.
For the FM, yeah.
Yeah, which is rubbish.
So I have one of these, which came out of I was sent it to sort of test it basically and see if it was any good. And I've got 3 or 4 of different ones around, because I get sent quite a lot of stuff to try, and if it's any good, I'll talk about on the channel. The car period ones, highly recommend. There was a link on my channel somewhere, it's probably expired, but so I get nothing for saying they're any good. Of the different ones, I think you said the same. Car periods definitely one to go for.
And this one, the other thing about this one is it's got a camera in it.
Oh, it has, yeah. This one hasn't, but it does. But it is. It's got a really good fast response rate as well. So when you're scrolling, because obviously touch. So I'd recommend it. Having one that takes an age to respond when you're swiping is really frustrating. But these are really responsive.
So I use mine for sat nav. You can see obviously your WhatsApp and all that kind of stuff coming through.
Yeah, CarPlay. But
the problem you have is obviously, unlike where you've got an auxiliary port, if somebody rings, you can't hear them.
What's that?
Oh my God, sorry.
£62.50 just fell on the floor. It's not a problem. But yeah, so it's going back to the accessories. So some of the things that Audi had as optional extras, there was obviously the sat nav built into the car. Now I had that on the blue car.
Matt's got it on his.
Yeah, and I did use it, but of course the map's so out of date, and you have to use that little LCD in the center console. So it's not center console, in the center of your dash. It worked. It wasn't very good because the maps were up to date, but you know it was for its day. It must have been revolutionary. Yeah, absolutely. So definitely look for doing something like that. But yeah, the cup holder, I think they are absolutely spot on for it. People say that it's in the wrong place because you have got to reach round to get it. So it is a bit frustrating, I guess. But I've also got in the papaya.
So I've got the cup holder, and it's actually it's not that bad. Well, it's because I've got the pole position seat, so I don't know, but I know where it is, so I don't have to go to it.
But there's also aftermarket and obviously not OEM. But I also have in the papaya, I've got 2 coffee holders that actually are 3D printed, and they flap down over the top of the air vent. So you flap it down, you put your coffee in there, and it holds it. And you take the air vent out, you put one piece in, you put the air vent at the top, and then the flap just comes down. You can put your cup in it. Really quite cool, really nice design. I was going to take them out because I thought, you know what, they're not OEM, and I don't like non-OEM parts. But I put them back in because my wife likes to use it when she's a passenger, and I keep them both in just because it keeps them both the same. What have we got?
The other thing it could be considered an accessory for a lot of people is cruise control.
Yeah, and that can be retrofitted as well. You can do that. So if you haven't got it in your car and you want it in your car, it's worth speaking to one of the great breakers we've got around the UK.
So I'm not sure. I know on the Mark II it's coded. So I had a Mark II I had to take the cruise control off, and it had to be coded out. But I'm not sure it is with the Mark 1, is it? I think it is a plug and play.
Yeah, I think it
solution.
Right, so Sid's put there, I have a printed mount that mounts a tablet on the vents and reroutes the vents around the tablet. That's pretty cool.
Very good.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how that works. It's actually sending the airflow around the tablet, so I reckon that's pretty cool. Ken's put, I have wide off the block adapter and valve cover to catch can, but my issue was the 3/8 hose. It was necked down to oops. Okay, so that's the setup of your catch can. So maybe you've done it a bit of a different way, maybe, and that's why you've had a problem. I don't know.
So usually you have one. So basically, you strip the front off. The 2 that are to the side of the engine also go, and you block them. You usually have the large output from the engine is your output to the catch can, and then it usually tees in at the puck.
Yes. Yeah.
And then the puck still does its job.
Yeah, the puck, you still need the puck.
Yeah.
Catch can, absolutely right. So it still has to do a job. And I think if you don't, I've seen some different catch can results though, because there's a guy that runs a TT in a racing scene here in the UK, and literally after every race, his catch can was full of oil.
It's how efficient the engine is, isn't it? So I had a catch can on the other red one, empty, constantly empty, hardly anything, and it's just how efficiently your engine's running and how much oil is being dropped out of it.
Yeah. So I guess the more oil that's ended up in the catch can, the less efficient your car is.
Well, you'll know because you're putting more oil in
it. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I guess you can. Well, I don't suppose you should really tip it out back into the engine, should you?
No, you throw it.
Yeah, because it could have a lot of. Because that's
really, I mean, it should be empty once a month.
Okay, what, a full one? It'd be a full after a
Not
month.
necessarily, but you should still empty it
Okay.
because you're still holding oil.
Yeah, Andy, if you're still on, it'd be interesting to see if you've checked your catch can since you've been running it, and if you've emptied anything out of it. Be interested to know
Yeah,
about
so
that.
Ken, the pipes for the catch can are usually pretty girthy because Billy Cowd used to make a brilliant kit of the whole lot.
Yeah,
Now, I don't know whether he still does them because he doesn't. So the catch can went onto the crossbar at the back. He provided all the pipes and a very, very good brass connector into the engine. And I say the pipes were good 3/4 of an inch girth. So it would make sense that you've got a 5/8, yeah, 5/8.
I
So
have that. I have one of those brass elbows.
yeah, they're brilliant
on the shelf because
and it has the clip,
yeah.
much better clip than using the plastic.
Yeah.
But you're talking, in fact, this is the one. You're probably looking this kind of girth minimum for a catch can. Otherwise, as you say, it just won't breathe.
Yeah, because the actual the pipes that are actually on the catch can are a fair old size.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's what I bought that hose for doing.
Yeah,
something
it
like
makes sense.
Yeah.
That's enough size.
I was going to say, I wonder where that elbow is, but it's in deep somewhere in the garage. Oh, you might have noticed that since you were here last, the bonnet's gone. The bonnet got sold.
I can see the end.
Yeah, the bonnet was sold last week.
Okay.
Someone came and bought the bonnet, which was also a bit of a double-edged sword because I noticed on my papaya it's got a bit of rust underneath it, under the bonnet. So should I have kept it and maybe had it painted? Because
because it's much easier to paint on top of papaya than it is to paint on top of whatever colour it was.
Yeah, true. I guess that is the.
You don't strip back as far.
No, and it's only on the under the bonnet. I can't look at that, but under the bonnet you've got that sort of like reinforcement.
Yeah.
So it's just along the edge there.
Just
Nothing.
water seats.
Yeah.
We were talking about it before. There are so many places that Audi missed, but then they all do. You know, name me a car that you wash and water doesn't dribble down for 10 minutes after.
Yeah.
But it seems with the TT, whether it is because it's so unique, but there are so many places where water sits. And we were talking also earlier on about all the rubbers around all the windows. They're not sealed.
No.
So around the bonnet, around the front here, there is a rubber seal. Around the rear, there's a rubber seal. Down the sides, there are rubber seals. And none of them are sealed units. So water sits under them. And I was saying to Andy earlier on, if you are starting to feel roughness in the paintwork around it, what you do is you pull the rubber back with a pick or whatever, and engine oil, just let it seep down underneath that rubber because water's sitting underneath it, and it will in the end rot the car. Yours, obviously, the water's just sitting in that metal front
and just
unit.
Away, yeah. But it's something I'm going to look at. Obviously, won't be doing that bonnet now because I've sold it. So I got £50 for the bonnet. A guy came from Basingstoke to get it. I had it's been listed for about.
It's a big bonnet. I mean, you have to bring something quite big to take it.
Yeah, he did. He came in a transit. So
it's deceptively large because it's half the car.
So that tailgate, a little interesting story. The tailgate, a young lad from Kent wanted the tailgate, and he came over with the wings of the tailgate, and his mum's. I don't know if it was a C1 or a C2 or something like that. And I was like, that doesn't fit in there, pal. So he never came back and got the tailgate. He took the wings.
You've got to think how it fits on the car. So the car's got to be a hell of a lot bigger for it to go into it.
Yeah, absolutely. But that bonnet was wide as well.
Well, because it's not just here. It goes.
Yeah, but it weighs nothing. It's so you can pick it up like this. It's so light to carry. So, so the guy drove from Basingstoke, and so I had it listed on Facebook Marketplace for about 5 months, and no bites at all. And then when I was in Ypres, I had 2 people message me within about 5 minutes, bizarrely. Okay. And then I said I was away, I wouldn't be able to do it. So I said first come, first serve. And then they weren't sure if they could make it, and they were going to come and get it, and they weren't going to come and get it. And then one guy turned up and took it, and I let the other guy know saying, sorry, it's now gone. So I could have probably sold 2 bonnets. But it's interesting that breaker TT that I've got, I've still got bits that people want. So it's still making money all this time later.
That's how the guys who are breaking and make their money. There's always a need.
Yeah, I mean, it must have paid for it. I mean, I paid £300 for that car, so it's paid for itself many times over. Yeah, I don't know how many there are because I think we've seen that about. Andy's going to check his catch can this weekend with and he's got the one from Cloud9 with the brass fitting.
Easy to work with.
Claire's put, do you mean between the seal and the roof material? No, between the glass and the sort of like the frame of the car. That's where Rich is talking about running the oil to protect something between. Yeah, I'll bring you over. I can bring you over, but it's I'll have to spin you around. So I'll bring you over so we can have a look.
Right. So
if you like,
no, use a light. Why not?
Do you like?
If you look everywhere on this car, so if you look here in the gutters, if you look here around the window, there's rubber. And if you look where the roof rail meets, you'll see that it's deformed it because this isn't connected or sealed to the car. So what happens is you can see here a small gap between the roof rail and the rubber. And what will happen is water will run into that gap and run down behind this rubber. And it's a tiny gap, but obviously over time it will absorb.
So water will get in there and damage.
So the thing to do is to just bring the rubber forward and just put engine oil underneath it.
Yeah. So I've got on my car all down here on the inside of the windscreen, on the actual it's not the A pillar, is it? That it's the is that?
Yeah.
So it's got bubbling all down here because it's obviously got wet and damaged at some point.
But if you look at the back, it's exactly the same. Do you want to come back?
Yeah.
So if you look at the rear window, it's exactly the same rubber. If you look down here, as it is at the front.
And here it goes quite odd at the back,
and it's here. Because the water will not only sit behind the rubber, but it will then sit on the paintwork as well.
Yeah.
So
if you're going to take a roof rail off, the two screws that we talked about, the Torx bit is down underneath that. It's a plastic cover that sits just under here, under the. You see the tailgate open. You clip the. Oh, we're going to have a look. So we're going to open the tailgate. So if we can get a little light in there. So this plastic cover pops off just like that. And sitting behind there, you've got that Torx T25 Torx bit. Undo that, and then you can, as Richard said, you bend that out, and then you can prise that clear of the roof. And that is how you remove a roof rail. Absolutely. Nice and simple. And these clip back in. You have to be careful with these because they are they are a little bit brittle, but you put the top in first, you push it down, and it will clip. I'm going to let Richard give him space to it. I don't need to damage it.
Because I've got a light in one hand. Oh, I missed it. There we go.
Done it. There you go. Simple as that. And I think these are struts, which look in great condition. I think they've been replaced. That these tend to fail, and because with the 3.2s and the Quattro Sport, you've got this extra big spoiler on the back. It's got extra weight in that, which means these are quite robust. Now, if you are replacing these, make sure you buy them. If you've got a coupe, buy a coupe one. If you've got a roadster, buy a roadster one. Because what I've seen, I think it was Simon Matthews. He put coupe ones on a roadster, and when you open the boot, and you took your teeth out because it opened so fast.
The other way. So I think, if memory serves, when I bought these run to about 200 pounds of force.
Yeah.
While the roadsters are only 120.
Yeah, so it won't be enough to.
They're the same size.
Yeah.
It's just they're not strong enough.
That's right.
The other thing as well, obviously, now that I've done them, is if you are buying these now, you're not getting Audi ones.
No. So that's made. So I was looking at it. So it's made by Worthy, and I don't know what the part details is, but if I turn the phone, you might be able to see it, guys. So if you need to replace that, we can have a look at that. I can't see it myself. Can I zoom in that? There we go.
So the irony is this one says
Audi TT convertible.
So this is the irony. My one says convertible, but they're not.
And there you go. There's the OEM part there. So it's AN882752B. But obviously we know that's not the case because it's holding the boot open nice and strong.
Oh yeah. So this is wrong.
Yeah.
And I did question them on it, but I said it was just the batch.
Okay.
But the other thing as well is you can't get the Audi ones anymore.
No.
And these are longer than the originals by about 5-6 mil,
right? Which
doesn't sound like much, but if you take one of these off, you will find that you can't fit the new one because it won't go far enough because there's no play. Look how much play there is.
Yeah.
you have to take them both off
to fit them both
to
the same.
fit the two,
Right.
which means you've
You've
got to have
torque that,
somebody
yeah.
here.
Because they are heavy. The tailgates are heavy.
And even if you remove one, the other one, even if it's a good one, won't hold it.
No.
And what happens is these will drop like this.
Yeah, sideways.
And make a lovely dent in your car.
Yeah.
And I know that because I've seen it done.
Right, okay, so
So
there you go.
you need a friend. Do not try and do it on your own.
Yeah. And you definitely need to prop
yeah,
that.
you want to see how I have to.
Yeah, you have to put some welly behind that now. So there you go. That is a little bit of an insight into the boot. So we've covered loads of things tonight, haven't we? But right, do you mean between? Oh, that's read that bit. Yeah. So mine came with a catch can, but I never emptied it. I had the car about 4 years. How do you empty them? They unscrew. So the actual bottom of the can unscrews from the top. I definitely recommend giving it a check. Oh, it's yeah, that'd be interesting. Unless it's running very
too much, it'll go back up the pipe again.
Yeah, exactly that. Sell catch can contents to a Vegemite company. That you could do that.
We do dinner in it.
Yeah. Got you. We'll do that tomorrow. Nice one, Claire. Marmite is actually half and half oil, sludge, and salt. Interesting. Mrs. Jugs, we recently had to do ours. The boot kept eating me. It is heavy to change and took both of us. Well, you've done it now, so good to know you're still out there, guys. I didn't see you chat much tonight, so but I hope you're well, Vanessa and Lee.
But it is crazy how the extra bit of spoiler seems to make a hell of a lot of difference.
Doesn't it just? It's the extra weight on it. It's quite a big old thing. We've been live for 130 minutes now, so I'll probably take a few more questions and then call it a night. Let Richard get home before he turns into a pumpkin at midnight. Claire, can you ask Richard if the roof can be altered on one side to get rid of my 3mm gap that is above the driver's window midpoint? Right, so Claire's got a Roadster.
Yeah.
And she's got an issue with the roof, which to me sounds like when it's been replaced at some point.
Is it the window doesn't go up? So there's two things. Number one is the roof isn't straight. But number two is the window is too low in its frame. So here we go. You can actually adjust the windows higher and lower. There is a small amount of adaptation. So if you take the door panel off, you will see the two, where the window goes in, there's two bolts. And what you can do is you can actually lift or drop the windows slightly and retighten those bolts. So if your window is minorly too low, you can actually lift it a bit, retighten the bolts, and it will obviously create a better seal. But that's only obviously if the roof is straight in the first place.
Yeah.
And you'll know because the gap will be the same all the way across.
Yeah, because I know for a fact on my Roadster, because I actually took the Roadster roof off my car because the window got smashed in the end, but that's another story. But watch the video to find out how that happened. But we replaced the whole roof on it, and I put a second-hand roof on. And if I'm perfectly honest, the seal's not great on it somewhere because of the sound. To get a lot of wind noise now, but I can live with that. It doesn't leak. The car's pretty watertight. And hey, it's a Roadster. You want the roof down most of the time anyway.
Yeah, but to say you do have the option of adjusting the windows to get rid of the gap if the roof is slightly askew.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because what you'll often do is, if, as you say, you get wind noise, and you'll put your hand along the top of it, and you can stop the wind noise, and that's because there is a gap between the window and the top of the roof. So. Yeah.
See, my one, it's weird because I can't see any visible gaps, but I can hear the noise.
Oh no, it doesn't have to be much because you've got to think it's high pressure, 60 mile an hour winds.
Yeah, but it just sounds like the whole time like we've got the roof down.
Mm-hmm.
It's bizarre, but I live with it because I love driving it. Although it's currently outside with 3 regular wheels and a space saver on it because the wife took the car to my sister-in-law's at the weekend. And got there, my brother-in-law noticed there'd a big bulge in the front tyre. But that's not a bad thing because what I do want to do on that car is I want to put Pilot Sport 4s all the way around it. So we've got good tyres for going away.
Make a massive difference.
Yeah. So I'm looking for that. But there's a couple of jobs I want to do on the Roadster, which I'm probably going to cover over the next few weeks. I've got to get it done because obviously I've got 8 weeks to get that car France prepped. I don't think it's even that now because I'm away for a couple of weekends as well. But the jobs I need to do on it is I want to get underneath. Might have to borrow Richard's ramps, get the back end up in the air, and look at the earthing strap for the Haldex, because the Haldex is definitely not working. I can't see what else it can be other than the earth strap is causing a problem now, an earthing problem, because it's just not kicking in. It's definitely running on 2-wheel drive, and I'd like it to have 4-wheel drive to go to France.
This is the filters have been done and the oil's clean.
I did all that, and it still had that. Well, I don't know if it was working before, but I think it was, but it definitely doesn't work since I did it. So I need to do that. I need to do that fuel filter. So I've got a fuel filter. It hasn't had a set of plugs in it since I've had that car. I've had it since 2018. Wow. So I think I need a set of plugs.
Yeah.
So I've got that covered off. I'm not going to do the coil packs. I'm going to take a coil pack with me as a spare.
Talking of the plugs, the ones that Cloud 9 do are brilliant, because I had them in my last one and they're really cheap.
So, tell me what.
I can't remember which ones they are.
We'll see if we can find
his
out.
website. He has
the right plugs. Okay. And do you have to gap them, or they come pre-gapped?
No, you gap.
Okay. So
it says what the gap should be.
That's good, because I've got a set of feeler gauges to do that. So I will gap them, because I've always wondered that when you buy a set of plugs, you always used to have to gap plugs, but now they say they come pre-gapped. Now I know if that plug's been dropped or touched or anything, the gaps could be all over. There's no way they are exactly pre-gapped, and they change. So I always recommend checking your gaps.
The ones he sells are cheap. They're NGK,
right,
but they are comparatively cheap. But you just re-gap. I think it was 70 mil or so. I can't remember off the top of my head, but they were. I've never had a problem with them.
Okay, I'll look those up then. I find the same thing as you, Andy. 3mm gap isn't on the other side. Yeah, it's a bit of a strange, isn't it? Definitely get it checked. Have a look at what you've got going on. Should I re-stretch the roof? I've realigned the driver's door. So have you noticed the 3mm gap since you've adjusted the door, or was it there beforehand? Be interested to know on that, Claire. I could use a walkthrough on Haldex servicing. Did it once and made a mess. Kenneth, there is a deep dive video on how to do your Haldex on my channel. One of the first videos I did, actually, although I did make a little bit of a mistake, and I'm not sure if it's on the video. But what I did do is, in my rush to get the plug back in, I left the washer off, the copper washer, and tightened it up.
Oh, okay.
So then I had to have it helicoiled then, because it pulled the thread. Yeah. But other than that,
I'd say Haldex for me has always been, I'm at Brins, he's doing other things. Can you do the Haldex while I'm here?
Yeah, it's worth having it done. It takes that pressure away.
Well, it's quick, it's a speed, especially on a Mark II. It's a horrific job on a Mark II.
Is it? It's worth a Mark II.
Oh, he basically came out. He'd never done one, and Brins basically came out covered in Haldex oil.
Yeah, it's a fine art, because you've got to fill through the drain hole. So you literally have to fill it and then pull it out quick and get the plug in really quick. And of course, as you know, when you're in a confined space, getting it lined up, it doesn't always happen. It's a bit big. But I did what's the word I'm looking for? Construct a way around that with a bit of air hose from a respirator mask from an NHS air mask, an O2 mask, which did work quite well, because it makes a good seal. You pump the oil in, and then you've got a bit more time to get it ready to pull out, pop it back in.
Yeah, I'd say I've done a lot. I like to think I do a lot of my own, but I've never put a spanner on a Haldex.
Really?
No. It's always been a case of you've got it anyway, so you might as well do the Haldex.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've got a spanner in there if you need to do it. I've got one ready to go. So
mine's done.
So yeah, it's one of those things. I am going to get it done for my France trip though. I'm going to take a spare math with me as well, and anything that I need. All the fluids will be done. I'm going to do an oil filter or service on the car as well. So I might do a little bit of a general purpose service, an Audi TT Mark 1 service, general things, plugs, oil, the whole works, all in one video. You can watch along, and so you can.
So you're going Brittany and around that way around?
No, well,
going straight there.
No, we're going to Rouen first, actually,
okay.
Because we're having a couple of days in Rouen with the family.
Because we drove to Lyon via Paris, to Monaco via Paris and Lyon, and by the time I got down there, I was skipped. The tolls now through the middle of France are absolutely staggering.
So we are going to Rouen, and then we're going to Clermont-de-Ferrand, then we're going down to Fréjus, and then we're going on to staying in Antibes overnight for one night right on the peninsula. Then we're going on through Monaco. We're not staying in Monaco, like to have. We're going through, and then we're going to pop over into Italy, up through Milan, and then back into France, staying in Chamonix, into Switzerland, go and see the north face of the Eiger because I'm into my mountains, and then we're driving back to France. But we're going to go via, I want to call it La Guerre at Rouen, or is it La Guerre? The Pit Straight, the old Formula Pit Straight.
We did Paris, Lyon, Monaco, but then we did Pisa, Florence, Milan, Como, Furka Pass,
Blimey.
Spa in Belgium and back in a week. That's staggering.
In a Mark 1?
No, I wasn't that brave.
Oh, well,
it was 2,500 miles in a week.
Yeah, it's going to be. It looks to me about a 2,000-mile round trip. But do you know what? I've got 86,000 miles on that car, and it's. I'm not going to say anything about it. I'm not going to tempt fate, but I'm going to make sure it's in as best condition as possible before I set off. And if it fails on me over there, and it's going to cost me a lot of money, I will buy a flight home.
Yeah, better so in Monaco, when you come out the tunnel, you've got to be very nice to the policeman and let them. They'll then let you cross.
Oh, will they?
And follow the F1 track.
Yeah.
But you won't. You'll be doing 15 miles an hour at most through the whole thing anyway. Because there's a policeman every 15 feet.
Yeah, but it's worth going and have a look. Brilliant. Just say you've done it, isn't it? It's just you do it. Yes, the gap in the roof bars where the bar breaks at the midpoint above the driver's window. Why can't the roof struts be adjusted? I don't know, but I know you can't adjust those. You can't adjust that roof bit there. I don't think. Just going to come back and see.
So a lot of the roof is riveted, big rivets, isn't it, rather than screws.
Well, it has that big hinge in the middle, so I think that's what Claire's referring to. But you can't adjust that there, unfortunately. No. It's all of that adjustment is literally when you're attaching it at the back. That first bit when you're putting it into at the back is where all the adjustments. It's got like a skirt around the back of it as well that does that waterproof layer, and it's about getting that lined up and getting it perfectly square. So I think maybe that when your roof was changed, maybe the guy that changed it or girl that changed it didn't quite get it where it needs to be. That's all I can think about. Either that or it's something's happened since to cause the window to drop, cause the door to misalign. Again, the rubber seals that go around the main part of the doors we talked about before, it's worth giving them, you mentioned about pumping the rubber up, it's definitely worth giving that a treat and just giving it all, because they get sticky and they do collapse, is give them a clean. Make sure that they're not getting trapped and squashed down. Give them a clean, and they will come back to life.
Worst comes to worst as well. There are a lot of convertible roof experts, and when I had the Mark II, I was having a lot of trouble with it has flaps that close and open, and they're motorised, and the car has to see them in certain positions. Yeah. So I did quite a lot of research, and there's, especially in the Midlands, there are a lot of people who do convertible roof work. Okay. So you could actually take it in and just have it assessed, and they'd be able to tell you if it was straight or not, because that's what they do all day, every day. Yeah. Rather than you hoping, guessing, so on and so forth. So yeah, just look them up, Google.
Yeah, so there's definitely. I mean, we can only diagnose so much without getting our hands on it as well. That's the trouble. It's
and to take engines apart.
Well, yeah, we're good at. Well, Richard's good at taking. I'm good at filming Richard taking engines apart. I love it. Tonight. But that was good. I think that was good fun tonight.
It's the first one I've taken apart.
Oh, is it? Well, now he tells me.
Yeah, I've never done the bottom of one.
No, I think that was good tonight, wasn't it? Yeah. To take it apart and seeing the damage that's caused and seeing the state of it and seeing what happens if you don't service your oil regularly and what it can turn into.
Now it's in the combustion palace.
Yes, absolutely, and it's but it's nice to say now I've got the components apart. I'm going to do some real arty shots of all that.
You can put all that together again. I'll put it all
yeah, there, so. I don't trust myself, but we'll I might see if I can do a video and see. Oh yeah, that's always the way forward. I'll watch it in step by step. Although a lot of it we did before we actually did the broadcast. So
yeah, not the
bearings. Like. No, that was done live on it. So yeah, good. Right, guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up there for tonight because we've done 142 minutes, but that's not an hour and 42. That's 140. So that's 2 hours and 22 minutes we've been talking for. Non-stop as always. I think we're up to the limited comments. But I want to thank Richard as always. Pleasure, absolute pleasure to have Richard along. And of course, he will be here for Springfest. So if you want to join us here at Springfest and ask Richard questions, please do. I'm sure he will be here on hand to help you with any questions you have.
We have had a lot of fun tonight.
We always do. It's always good fun to taking engines apart and looking at how things can go.
When you don't have them back together again, and it's not yours.
That's the pleasure. Yeah, that's the good thing about doing that. So I hope you've all enjoyed it tonight. I hope that's given you an insight into what can go wrong with an engine. I hope we've answered a lot of questions. We've talked about a lot of things tonight, including buying cars, selling cars, taking engines apart. But yeah, thanks a lot. I see all your comments coming now. Thanks, guys, for watching. Hope it's been interesting. I will catch you in the next one. We've got a video. Oh, we've got a video coming out. It's my members will know about it already because you've had a sneak preview of it. But there's a video coming out in the next couple of weeks about the concept car reissue, I guess you'd call it, or the reproduction, where people have, or someone, a guy called Yoss, has taken a concept car or production car and recreated the initial concept. Amazing to look at. Great to see the attention to detail he put into that. There's a bit of a world exclusive being announced, I think tomorrow actually. I think the press release coming out tomorrow, which I'm on it. So hopefully I'll see it as well and get a mention. But the video is coming to my channel. So I'm the first one to do a video on it. It's coming to the channel on the 6th of May. A couple of weeks away yet, I appreciate, but there will probably be a video coming this weekend all about that graphic graffiti car as well, owned by Cook. So keep your eye out for that. But I want to thank you all for watching tonight. Thanks for being on. I'll be live next Monday, don't forget. Or will I? I might be changing next week's live from Monday to Sunday because I might have to be away from home next Monday night on business. So I might be moving to Sunday. So keep your eyes peeled on the channel for that because it might move by a day. But again, watch out and see what's going on. But thanks all for joining on tonight and have a great week. Enjoy your cars and any questions, drop me a line at the channel. And I'll see you all very soon.